Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Testing. Woo. Hello? Bam? Ready? Yeah. Hey. Let me scoot over here. Hey. We're doing drawing stuff today, so it's gonna be a little different. But hello, welcome into the stream. I hope you are ready to see me draw things. Draw things we shall. Welcome in. Hello, Joe. Thank you for the stream anniversary. I have to get my wet my whistle. I got a new check out my new container. Yeah, it's not much, but she holds 10 gallons of water. And I'm gonna be peeing for days. It's not like the jug where I'm just like, oh, I got a straw and everything. I'm a little more sophisticated. I'll put it over here. I should put it like on the floor. Because I got like some plugs and shit over here that I shouldn't be like putting drinks next to. But hey, it's alright. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Hello, 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 hello. What's this? Sophisticated. Very, very demure. Yes, very demure. Very posh, if you will. Very posh with the pink. I don't do the pink out, but I drank too much already. I just had two things. Man, there's a couple. I don't know what to start with the stream. I'm probably gonna start doing warm-ups real quick. Just warm up my wrists and my hands. I haven't drawn in a couple days. Been doing this and that and this and the other and the third. So I'm gonna warm up with some stuff, stretching my hands and doing stuff. I wanted to come in here like with a music thing because I was just listening to it, and I was like, this is grade A music. So let me play that song for you real quick. I hope it's not loud. I'm gonna turn it down. Yeah. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. But it's like, check this out. Check this out.
Big man blasters, 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 big man blasters,
He's here.
man blasters.
I'm gonna fuck my pants. Hey. I'm a blast of Maine. Alright, I'm done. I'm done tripping. Big bad blaster, yeah. Alright, I'll stop. Nah, like for real though. Like when I heard that, I'm like, that's me. I'm Big Man Blastoise. They got like the guy, he's right here. Big Man Blastoise. Finally, my man's getting some love out here. Y'all know who the best starter is. Hey, hey, Big Man Blastoise, Big Man Blastoise. You know what I'm saying? Already coming to stream out of breath. Acting a fool. Already. But hello, welcome. I'm your host with the most, Takun. We're here, you know. Welcome in YouTube. Anybody on YouTube, welcome in. We're just gonna do a chill drawing thing. I always have a hard time? I'm reading the chat, it's so far away. I always have a hard time picking between Squirtle and Bulbasaur. Ooh. Only cause, right? I'll say that only because Bulbasaur makes the game easier. The first few gyms, stupid easy with Bulbasaur, right? Squirtle, same. Up until like Lieutenant Surge, same. But like Charmander and Charizard, that's like hard mode because you gotta like work for that first gym. That first gym is a work and a half. And then everybody else is like, super effective. Cerulean Gym, super effective. And then who's after that? So Rock, Water, who's next? Who's the third gym? Is that Erica? Do I remember was that Erica or Lieutenant Surge? Like Lieutenant Surge is fine, but then when you get to Erica, that's like easy mode. Bulbasaur looks like a frog Therefore, he's super cool. We do love frogs around here. We do love frogs. We do have frog love. Agreed. I am not mad at you on that one. Frogs are adorable. Favorite, one of my few favorite animals. I have a couple of favorite animals, but frogs definitely. Hold on, because Beer wanted to put in a request to listen to something while we were doing it. Lieutenant Surge. Okay, Lieutenant Surge is the third one. Thank you, Sir Scarlet. Welcome in. Welcome in. Let me see here. So yeah, Lieutenant Surge is the third one. So still, like that's one of those things. It's like okay, the extremely tragic story explained of Mega Man X. So me and Veer had this whole powwow like Mega Man X stuff, and I was trying to explain to them the story of X, and I kind of came into like some sort of like standstill about the idea of like humans being in Mega Man X because you never see them really. You have Dr. Kane, which is like the only one you actually see. Let me see here. I'm trying to read the chat. That's Mr. Lieutenant Surge, Jordan. Mr. Captain Lieutenant Surge. That's funny. Lieutenant Surge used to be my commanding officer. He used to spank me at will. No, I'm sorry. We get a little weird in here sometimes. Welcome in, welcome. All right. I'm gonna let everybody that came in here, welcome in. We're just chilling today. Got my trusty gamepad out for drawing. Got my trusty gamepad out, hitting the wrist, so that way it's on me at all times. Got my glove on. I'm gonna do like some warm-ups and then we'll get into like the actual drawing, right? So have fun, chill. Got any questions? I would love to answer them. Any art related questions? BMO. I'm gonna draw BMO. But I'm gonna draw BMO. I have a question. What is your question? Why are you so cool? Good question, young Jorby. The coolness just flows like water. I wasn't always this cool. And I'll tell you, I wasn't always this cool because it was true. Back in the day, they used to call me Jean Jacket Guy. That's not too far from the truth. Veer can co-sign on that one. That's not too far from the truth. What's happening? Okay. You do music suggestions? I do not do music suggestions only because copyright is like for both platforms, Twitch and YouTube. And they usually mute my stuff if I do anything other than video game music. So we're not doing that, and also because of the fact that like me and Veer we're gonna listen to Mega Man stuff real quick. So I'm sorry, do not do music suggestions. I couldn't tell you. Like I said, copyright is the only reason. Because I like to use these videos for like stuff, like for TikTok and YouTube Shorts and things like that. And if I'm like explaining something or like explaining some kind of art thing or just talking on a game, if it's muted, you can't really get like, you know, that out of me. I can't share that with everybody. And I want to share more stuff around. I have to make a clip of that, like I did earlier, and I have to make a clip of yesterday's Legend of Zelda stream. Usually, so what I do for streaming and stuff, I was gonna suggest you a video games music. Oh, well, what song? Put the link in the description. I mean the comment. Go ahead. Let me hear what you got. That I can do. That I will entertain. Yes. Because we're just chatting right now. I haven't even started nothing, right? I haven't really started nothing. Yeah, I'll listen to a video game track. Who you got? Don't forget to like and subscribe. Shut up, Jordy. I appreciate you reminding everybody. Yes, If you're on YouTube, subscribe to my channel. I do art things and video game stuff all the time. And I like to talk about, here and there, I like to talk about little things. Like, I would love to talk to you guys about my thoughts on the Sonic movie. I thought the Sonic movie was amazing. You should go see that movie. There is in-credit stuff, so stay after to watch the in-credit stuff. And what else? If you're a Sonic fan, definitely go check out the movie. I'm not biased. I'm not biased at all. Who, me? I'm not biased at all. Hello, Ninja. Hello, Kathy. Welcome in. I'm a Sonic fan. Like, I'm a Sonic fan, but like, I feel like, I went with somebody that also isn't a Sonic fan, and we were satisfied with the movie. Let me say that. We were satisfied with the movie. Yes, I'm a Sonic fan, right? I will gargle the Sonic fandom to the day I die. But also, I just like really good storytelling, right? And it was really good storytelling, right? Not a lot of the human stuff that the Sonic 1 and 2 movies did. They did a lot of nods to Sonic Adventure, and of course having like, what's the name? No, I was talking about my music. Oh, did it? It didn't show up for me. Hold on. It didn't show up for me on my link. Let me see. I think maybe it's like doing stuff. Let me check it myself from doing stuff. Check it here. Just tell me what it is, because if you sent the link, I don't see it. You know, if you posted the link, I don't see it. So go ahead and just tell me what the song is. I'll put it up. Can you not? Go ahead and just tell me what. Can you not me? Thank you, me. Okay. But yeah, I'll post it up. I'll play it. I like Animal Crossing OST for chill streams. Okay, Joby. After Scarlet, I'll do a whole. I love Animal Crossing music for sleeping. I know y'all like listen to Air. Is that what it's called? ALR. This ALR. Let me see. No, like Jorby, I agree with you. ALR. Is that video game music? I don't see that. That comes up with something else. It's 4 hours of video game music in different moods by somebody named Sir Scarlet. So you? Is that a you thing? 4 hours? you got me listening to your own soundtrack. I'm not biased. Let me see. Let me look. I'll look. Let me look. Let's see. Right? Let me see what I got. I don't know why Sir Scarlet came up as a Mega Man thing. Here you go. I got you. Is it Splatoon? Is it 4 hours of Splatoon music? Oh no, it's 1 hour. Oh, holiday music. Interesting. Yeah, okay. I see your game. I see your game. It's 4 hours of music. Yeah. So holiday music, what you got? I see your game. 1 hour of Christmas music. So that's how you try to get me. Biased. Super biased. Okay, that'll be a later thing. I appreciate it though. I'll listen to them because it's just the simple fact that I'd be looking for stuff like this. So I will listen to it. I'm gonna make a playlist. I'm gonna make it into a playlist. Not the Christmas one though. We don't need Christmas music in here. I wouldn't mind if you don't play it though. It might put me to sleep when I'm at work. Okay. Both of y'all have failed me as far as music right now. All right, let's listen to the Mega Man stuff and let me get to work. All right, let's get to work, y'all.
Folks, welcome back to my.
So this is
the early '90s was a dope time for Mega Man.
I'm gonna pause this. This is a YouTube video by the Black Macedon. I'm gonna put the link in my thing, in my chats. Me and Veer have been talking about Mega Man stuff for the past like 4 hours, and I'm just explaining the story of Mega Man and things like that. So he wanted to, I mean, they wanted to, sorry about that, wanted to listen to the breakdown of that. And while we listen to the breakdown, I'm going to do my warm-ups. Oh, Jesus, do my warm-ups and things like that. So the early 90s was dope. Hell yeah. I'm so happy
With
that
the last four
we had
mainline games
inventive
receiving
times.
tons of praise, Capcom peeped that they were sitting on something special. Then everything changed when the Super
switching.
Nintendo hit the world.
Boom.
Capcom
Okay.
wasn't going to miss a chance to bring
I'm
their
gonna
blue
start- I'm
hero
talk
to this new
less.
console. But they also didn't want to just slap the classic Mega Man series on it. Instead, they decided to make a spin-off that would upgrade everything about the franchise. Not just mechanically, but narratively too. Folks, welcome back to my mini-series covering the history and lore of every single Mega Man. Last time we covered classic Mega Man, but now we're moving forward a whole century to talk about his successor. This is the story of the robot with infinite potential, a Reploid desperately searching for peace in a world of violence.
Man,
This
you with
is the
me?
story of Mega Man X.
This is 11 out of 10 content. Yeah, like people. The thing about like the 90s, right, that we don't do now is just how inventive we were with characters. Like, and we didn't have much like story wise and things like that, but like characters were being made, new things were coming out, right? Testing the water for things. But now everybody's so concentrated on making money that we're not trying new things. And that's so upsetting, right? That's super upsetting that we can't try new things and get new stuff because we're doing old things with old stuff. Don't get me wrong, because Transformers do it like crazy. I love Transformers, right? I love Transformers. Transformers 1 was a great movie this year, great animated movie this year, amazing movie. If you haven't seen it, it's on streaming. Great movie, right? But how many Transformers movies do we need? You know what I mean? How many Ninja Turtles do we need? Again, there's a lot of Ninja Turtle stuff that is great and amazing, and character design changing the game, right? But there's not enough stuff to warrant a new thing like that. You know, it hasn't been a gap in like time enough to be like, oh, we need a new this. We need a new, you know, we need to change it up. Uniqueness. We need at least one more Transformers movie. Why do we need another Transformers movie? Tell me that. And tell me why Darkwing Duck hasn't made another reoccurrence.
Mega Man X, or Rockman X, as he's known in Japan, was created by the same team that worked on the classic Mega Man series. According to Mega Man and Mega Man X, the official complete works, Keiji Inafune and the team began coming up with ideas once they entered the Super Nintendo era of consoles. Inafune being one of the big players in the original Mega Man team. I talked about him more in my last video if you want to educate yourself on his story. They wanted to make something new and different, but were aware they couldn't just change the Mega Man formula. This made for an arduous brainstorming process, and it didn't help that Inafune and his protege, Hayato Kaji, switched roles. In previous Mega Man titles, Inafune focused on the main characters while Kaji worked on supporting characters. This time, Kaji ended up designing the protagonist,
Duck,
Mega
yeah.
Man X.
No, I would love it.
In the
Darkwing
complete
Duck.
works, he
Speaking
commented on how
of
difficult it
music
was, partially because they had
compilations,
way
I
more
heard
color to work
that
with
they're
compared to the
making a
past,
really
which is
long compilation.
understandable. Classic
You
Mega Man was
suggested
almost
what's your
all
favorite
blue
Nintendo
just to
song?
save data.
Oh.
Now with the introduction of the Super Nintendo's
Nintendo song.
better hardware,
Anything- if
these guys
we're-
got options. And looking at the design
I was
now,
gonna say,
I
depending
think
on the
Kaji
vibe-
killed it. I can't imagine being a kid from 1993.
Depending on the vibe, right? Anything Pokemon related, like Pokemon Red Blue related, Mega Man music, so Mega Man X, Mega Man Zero, those songs are great. Depending on the vibe you're looking for. And since we're talking about Darkwing Duck, DuckTales music slaps. I don't care what nobody says. I love DuckTales music. It's amazing. Let me see here. You make a valid point. We need Darkwing Duck movie. Darkwing Duck movie would go crazy for me. I would shit, piss, and cream myself all at the same time. Yeah, the DuckTales Moon theme. Yeah, 100% the Moon theme. There's a lot of Super Nintendo music that was dope. If you look up Stock Tales and then listen to those tracks, those are tracks that like are super good music tracks, but they're underappreciated. I think those are underappreciated music tracks in Stock STOCK Tales TALES.
watching the debut of a character like this, knowing it came from a series that looked like this. On the flip side, Inafune designed the supporting character, Zero. He wouldn't start as playable, but Inafune really wanted him to be. He envisioned him as the new hardcore Mega Man, hence the long hair, abundant use of red, and his more aggressive attitude compared to X. He believed that taking too much inspiration from classic Mega Man would give a nice guy impression, and that's not what they were trying to go for. But funny enough, Inafune did not mention all that when he submitted the designs for X and Zero to his boss. He presented X as the new Mega Man, and to avoid any critical analysis, he simply introduced Zero as the sub-character. Makes you wonder what the series would have been like if Zero was the protagonist. The hardcore vibe remained the theme as Mega Man X was fleshed out. The setting, which we'll get into once we cover the lore, was made to be a lot darker and more tense, and the villain, Sigma, was designed to be way more of a threat than Wily. While iconic, Inafune believed that the Mad Doctor had a side about him that you couldn't really hate. And I get that. In the last video I mentioned how Wily kind of felt like a cartoon villain, and that added some charm to him, sure, but because of it, I was never really worried about his schemes. I knew the majority of his plans would fail and lead to him groveling for his life. Sigma, on the other hand, was created to be an absolute evil, and has a little more complexity to his backstory. Just by looking at their design side by side, you can see the difference in aura. Gameplay-wise, a ton of new features were added to take advantage of the Super Nintendo's power. Since RPGs were popping off during the time, they added armor upgrades to simulate the feel of leveling up and getting stronger. Mounts were introduced to add a certain flair of luxury to the game. And of course, the graphics fucking digivolved, giving us a game that still looks good today. Also, quick tangent. There was this album that came out for X1 that featured a bunch of different background music for the stages. And in it, they left a developer diary giving readers an idea of how they felt while creating the game. It's mad funny, so I highly recommend you read it yourself. Once again, shout out to Shmupulations for the translation. But here is one entry that caught my eye, and I want to share it with y'all. I have no ideas. I can't think of a single thing. Nothing. The programmers are getting angry. The designers are getting restless. I'm in hell. This is surely hell. How did I get into this mess? My anger is rising. God damn it all. I've got to take it out on something.
I know.
Ouch! Well,
I'm looking for something.
I guess I should head home now. Wait a second. The wall. Kicking the wall. Yes! This could be just the new action I've been looking for Rockman X. When you get pissed, you can just kick the wall over and over. This is a revolutionary new system. I'm a genius! And believe it or not, that little entry right there may be the origins of wall dashing. It hasn't been confirmed, but it hasn't not been confirmed, so... Anyway, after a ton of work, Mega Man X was released in 1993 and received stellar reviews. It was praised as a successful milestone in transitioning Mega Man from the NES to the Super Nintendo. And though it didn't span into a series with as many games as its predecessor, it presents a story that is way more focused. This brings us to the fun part of the video, the lore. And I don't even have to give a disclaimer here. This story truly is a lot more streamlined than the classic one. There's actual continuity, more character depth, and the stakes feel real as fuck.
I'm looking
so
for
without
so
much
there's
further
a,
ado,
let's
get into the surprisingly dark tale of Mega Man X.
No, don't do that. Oh no. It's called
contrary to what I thought back when I was a
like
kid,
the only
X actually isn't an older
need,
Mega Man.
right?
In fact, he's more like a much younger brother. See, Dr. Thomas Light, the creator of Mega Man, had this ambitious yet insane goal of designing robots capable of independent thought. He got close with the likes of the Blue Bomber, Roll, Proto Man, and other robots, but their AI was never sophisticated enough to make them truly self-aware. Light couldn't settle with that. He was either going to create robo-humans or die trying. Eventually, sometime in 20XCX, after the events of the classic Mega Man timeline,
there's a lot to
he
it.
does it. He creates his magnum opus, Mega Man X, the first robot able to feel, think, and make.
So there's a lot to it, right? There's a lot to it that's like super like impressive. And it's super like, oh my goodness. The storytelling by itself is like the golden part of the game. But it's like, well, I can't explain it. It's one of the games that like when I was growing up, that was the only thing we would play, right? We would be like hours of just trying to beat like the whole game or stuff like that before you have to leave or something like that. Super Nintendo was just fun. Grid access, the only I think gameplay holds up to it. Does, and that's one of those things. Is like if it ain't broke, don't fix it, because it's like 1-to-1 with Mega Man Classic. Mega Man Classic. Slow down. Mega Man Classic. What is this? So let me see. So where is it? There it is. Got it. Okay. Dang. Took me forever to find this dang old perspective grid. I've already played through it about 5 times. Shit.
Make his own decisions.
7, 8.
However, Light is
I
worried
can
about
beat it
how
in
a
like a
robot
day.
like him will affect
Well,
the
less
outside
than a day,
world.
honestly.
Is the
Couple
populace
hours.
ready for a sentient artificial being? What if he breaks the rule of robotics and harms a human? He estimates that it will take 30 years to confirm X's reliability, but Light knows he won't live that long. So he seals his creation in a capsule meant to test his internal systems until he's ready for the world. He dies soon after, and goes down in history as the father of robotics. Elsewhere, Light's scientific rival, Dr. Albert Wily, is adding the final touches to his 2 final projects. The first is Zero, a robot described to be stronger than Mega Man and Bass, at least according to Mega Man 2: The Power Fighters. The second is the Maverick virus. Unfortunately for the Doctor, it becomes apparent that Zero suffers from a flaw in his cognitive functions, which makes him violent and disobedient. On top of that, death ain't too far away from this guy either, so he's forced to seal both Zero and his unfinished Maverick virus before his passing. However, we'll soon find out that true genius never dies. Fast forward to the next century, and we're now in 21XCX. Enter Dr. Kane, a scientist searching for fossil records to verify his findings on Mesozoic plant life. But after more than a month of excavating, he comes up empty. So he moves his dig site. But then on April 10th, 21XCX, he finds something way cooler than some fossils: the buried remains of Light's lab. Before long, he comes across the scientist's notes. He immediately peeps that Light was cooking up something huge in here, something that would change the world's perception of robotics. So with intrigue fueling him, he drops his fossil search to study these notes. This leads him to the capsule Light left here long ago. Once he verifies that all the diags have been run, he opens it and meets X for the first time. And then, X kills him because he deems him as inefficient, then he enslaves the human race and takes over the world. I'm kidding. But imagine though, that would have been the illest setup for Zero to become the protagonist, if I'm being honest. But for real, X meets Kane, and from jump, Kane realizes this is not your average robot. In his diary, he explains that X feels more like a man, which goes to show how much of a genius Light was. Even a whole century into the future, his work is still ahead of its time. The two spend months together, then using Light's notes and X as a base, he designs a new generation of robots they call Reploids, or Reploids, as they're known in Japan. They begin coexisting with the humans, and to Kane's surprise, they acclimate well to society. The Reploids are chill and helpful, and the humans love them. But of course, this peace doesn't last for long, cause, you know, the plot's gotta apply. Remember Zero? Well, the Maverick virus that was sealed with him has been leaking out of his capsule. It infects a couple of Reploids and causes them to act out. Along with that, when Kane was developing these guys, his impatient ass was nowhere near as cautious as Light. So some of them were born with defects.
No way.
And they
Really?
begin acting out too.
Last year?
Society starts calling these
man.
deviants
Okay,
Mavericks,
fair.
or
Because
irregulars.
I played
in
it when I
Japan.
was a kid.
So to keep the
that's-
people safe,
I can see
a
the
police
difference.
force of Reploids is formed to hunt down the Mavericks. They
If you
call
ever
them
get a
the
chance to
Maverick
get a
Hunters.
PSP
They're
emulator,
separated into different units depending on their
suggest you play
specialty. With
Maverick
the
Hunter
17th
X.
Elite Unit comprises some of the strongest hunters in the force. Kane designates his greatest creation, Sigma, to lead this unit, along with the hunters as a whole. Now, while all this is happening, X is sort of having an early life crisis. He questions his place in the world and continues to wonder what Light's big plan for him is. Kane lets him rock though, confident that he'll figure things out on his own. Plus, he has bigger problems to worry about. Zero has finally woken up from his slumber, and he still suffers from wanting nothing but the smoke. The hunters classify him as Maverick and attempt to hunt him down, but the first unit sent gets bodied. So Sigma personally goes after him. And you'd think that because he's based on X's top tier design, the commander would mop the floor with this guy. But don't sleep on the certified hater that is Wily. Though he wasn't as successful as Light, he was still respected as a genius. On top of that, let's not forget that this is his magnum opus. So Sigma gets his shit rocked. loses his whole arm in the process. Zero even laughs at the dude while trying to rip his head off. But for some reason, a W appears in his head, causing him immense pain. Sigma uses the chance to get one good lick in, shattering the crystal on the Red Maverick's forehead. With them down, the Hunter Commander returns his unconscious body to Kane for repairs. But unbeknownst to him, this skirmish caused him and Zero to catch the Maverick virus. Eventually, Zero wakes up from his repairs, with no memory of what happened. He's also a lot more docile. It looks like the Maverick virus altered his personality and fixed his lust for the hands. According to this official character relationship chart that was drafted between Mega Man 5 and X1's development, the reasoning for this is because Zero was already the baddest robot of all time, so it turned him good instead. He decides to join the Maverick Hunters and quickly rises to special
fair,
A class
I
thanks
guess.
to his
It's like
exceptional
when you
skill.
negative to
Though
negative,
he's
it's a
more
positive.
calm now, he ain't afraid to catch a body if he has to. X eventually joins the Hunters as well, equipped with the upgraded Mega Buster developed by Light, the X-Buster. But unlike Zero, his disdain for violence makes him more hesitant on the battlefield. This keeps him at the B-class level, even though he's capable of so much more. With these new recruits, the Hunters continue their battle against Maverick Reploids and Mechanaloids, the latter being robots with subhuman intelligence. Think of them as less advanced Reploids with specific tasks they are dedicated to. They're usually pretty large too. As the Maverick attacks continue, the Maverick virus assimilates with Sigma's advanced system. It mutates within him, earning it the new name the Sigma virus. Then eventually, Dr. Kane's worst fear comes true. The Hunter Commander goes Maverick. He concludes that humans are holding them back from evolution. Then after recruiting a bunch of his old comrades from the Hunters, he leads an anti-human rebellion against society, thus beginning the infamous Maverick Wars, and bringing us to the first game in this timeline, Mega Man X1.
So it is like human
So already,
insurrection, right?
this story is leagues above classic Mega Man. The tension, the stakes. Inafune wanted this to be hardcore, and they fucking did that shit. I like how X and Zero are sort of the last physical remnants of Light and Wily, but unlike their creators, they work as a team. I also love how Mega Man
so
went
I'm
from being a
assuming
character
humans
who
are
was
there,
so
yeah.
sure of doing what was
Humans
right,
are
to
the
now being
problem.
someone confused about his place in life. It makes him way more interesting than his 20xCX counterpart, with his conscience of justice.
Oh wait, that's right. You're premium, baby. I forgot. I like the ads are adding. You still see? Can you still see? I paused it. I was trying to pause it for the non-premium people, but you're premium, baby. So y'all good? Yeah. Okay.
The circuitry or
I'll
whatever.
keep it
And
going.
we just got to the first game. Anyway, with Sigma gone, Zero is forced to take command of the remaining Hunters, which is pretty much just X. Then they split up to confront the Maverick army. X arrives on the highway and clears out a bunch of enemies as this fucking banger plays in the background. But he's stopped by a Maverick named Vile. This guy also used to be part of the Hunters, and like Zero, he was Special A class. However, he also had a malfunction in his brain that made him disobedient. He ended up going Maverick, and during the rebellion, he joined Sigma's side almost purely because he really does not fuck with X. Like, he despises the guy. So now that he's right here, he takes sweet pleasure in beating the shit out of him with his ride armor. But luckily, Big Bro Zero saves him, and for whatever reason, he's missing his green ball titty thingies. Afterward, he tells X that he may be garbage now, but it's okay.
See, 'cause
he
they
has
are
the potential to
titty
become
thingies.
stronger. He just needs a training arc. So while he goes to gather intel on Sigma's fortress, he instructs X to face the Maverick Commander's 8 lieutenants. And since the way I presented the bosses last time felt kinda lazy, I decided to step it up a notch.
Introducing Chill Penguin, Flame Mammoth, Storm Eagle, Armored Armadillo, Boomerang Kawanger, Spark Mandrill, Launch Octopus, and Sting Chameleon.
So the game doesn't really go into the origins of a lot of these characters, but this book right here, hope you can see it, the Maverick Hunter's Field Guide, does. In fact, it gives more details on a lot of the characters in the series, so I'm going to be using it abundantly in this video, just letting you know. It reveals that most of the recruited members didn't actually go Maverick because of the virus. Chill Penguin joined because he was bored of his duty guarding the South Pole Station. Flame Mammoth joined because this gave him the perfect excuse to go on a violent rampage. Like, chill, bro. The analytical Boomerang Kawanger decided that going Maverick was the most logical and interesting choice. Spark Mandrill joined because he didn't know any better. Launch Octopus always hated the humans he was tasked with protecting, so joining Sigma's side gave him the chance to show off his underwater combat skills. And Sting Chameleon got beaten by Sigma, so he joined the army eager to prove his strength. The only former hunters who didn't get giddy over the thought of wreaking havoc were Armored Armadillo and Storm Eagle. Armored Armadillo joined out of loyalty to Sigma. That's it. And Storm Eagle actually tried to stop Sigma, but failed, so he joined against his will. This adds a whole new layer to the Maverick thing because now we know that there are some Reploids who seem to genuinely want this. Either that or Kane's lack of preparation really fucked them up. But X follows orders and takes down Sigma's lieutenants, and like classic Mega Man, he's able to copy their abilities. On his journey, he also finds different capsules left by Dr. Light meant to grant him armor upgrades and power-ups. This is a recurring feature in the series. In the boot upgrade capsule, the Doctor left a message for X stating that he built him with free will so he could choose his own path. He hoped that the world would allow him to choose a peaceful one, but the plot said no. So he hid these capsules in preparation to help turn X into the champion the world would need. This is depressing when you think about it. Like, Light built classic Mega Man with that conscience of justice circuitry, so whether he wanted him to or not, Mega Man was gonna act once shit popped off. Now we have X, a creation who actually has a choice, but he's gotta fight anyway. So after X defeats the lieutenants, collects the boots, buster, helmet, and armor upgrades, and learns the freaking Hadoken, Zero hits him up and tells him he found Sigma's hideout. They rendezvous there to infiltrate the place. It's wild when you think about the fact that these guys have been fighting a whole army by themselves. Now they're about to infiltrate Sigma's base with no backup. Low-key reminds me of Solid Snake and Raiden from Metal Gear Solid. Raiden? Raiden? One of the two. I forgot how to pronounce. Jack the Ripper. Y'all know who I mean. So they proceed with the raid.
that would hit, huh?
Bosch is up to thwart their plans again. At first, Zero tells X that he's got it, but not soon after, the Maverick manages to trap him. X then goes in for his rematch, but he ends up getting trapped himself. For a moment, it looks like Vile might actually win, but Zero won't have it. He's like, fuck it, breaks out of his trap, and self-destructs to destroy the Maverick's mount. X is now free, but at what cost? Senpai is dead and the bad guys are still kicking, but our boy won't let his death be for nothing. With newfound resolve, he challenges Vile once again, and this time, the Maverick takes the L. X goes to talk to what's left of Zero afterward, and the Red Hunter leaves the mission up to him, saying that he is stronger than he thought. With that, the lone B-class hunter continues the raid. He takes on the Sigma Gauntlet, which includes rematches against the Maverick bosses and a battle against Sigma's dog, Velgarder. Then, he's challenged by his former commander, and after a tough battle, the Maverick leader falls. Afterward, X watches as Sigma's base collapses. He wonders why violence had to be used to save the day. Couldn't they find a way to end this peacefully? Regardless, he knows that this war is far from over, and he'll probably have to fight many more Mavericks before he gets his answers. Now, this is the part where I would move to X2, but hear me out. Back in 2005, Mega Man X1 ended up getting a remake on the PSP called Mega Man Maverick Hunter X. This was supposed to be the start of a reboot that would reimagine the first 6 games in the series, but due to poor sales, the project got scrapped. However, I'm not gonna hold you. When it comes to the upgraded story, they kinda cooked. I was originally going to quickly review the few differences between X1 and Maverick Hunter X, but I'm sorry, that's not good enough. There's too much to say, so I'm giving it its own mini section. However, if you rather continue with the main timeline, you can skip to this timestamp. Unless you're watching the premiere, in that case, strap in. So Maverick Hunter X has this OVA named The Day of Sigma that gives us a pretty in-depth look at what led to the Maverick Wars.
And you watch that, so you get. Let's see here. I need to finish the X here. I need to because I said I was gonna stream all the Mega Man games.
Let's rewind
before I
all
play
the
Mega
way
Man
back
11,
to when Zero and
which
X
I have.
officially joined the Hunters. In this timeline,
need to
the
do
epicenter
that.
of the Maverick issue is Abel City. This is most likely a reference to the biblical story of Abel and Cain. In the book of Genesis, Abel and his older brother Cain both made offerings to God, but only Abel's offering was accepted. This led to Cain killing his brother out of jealousy. In this case, since Dr. Cain is the creator of the Reploids, he's kinda indirectly the reason why Abel City will fall. Anyway, X and Zero are pretty close, but many of the other hunters don't really fuck with X like that because he's too hesitant on the battlefield. However, Sigma finds this human side of him interesting. At this point, he's already slowly going Maverick, and he believes that the power of X's emotions can aid in their evolution. He visits Vile in prison and tries to recruit him, but Vile hates X even more in this timeline. So when he hears that the Hunter is at the center of the Commander's plan, Vile decides that he's not gonna side with anyone.
We can talk
He's just
smack
gonna
about
wreck shit
bosses.
and beat up X.
Bro,
That's
if
it.
you do,
No
I'll
ambitious
play
goal, nothing.
them
For
alongside.
Vile, it's simply
I
fuck
bet.
X and
Because
anything he's
they have
involved
a
with.
sale going on right
Eventually,
now.
Zero and X track
for
down
all
the
the
culprit
Mega Man
behind the
stuff.
Maverick attacks plaguing the city, Sigma. So they tag team him, but fail. Zero gets put down so easily that it makes me question if they even fought in this timeline, and X doesn't really do any better. With both of them down, Sigma launches missiles at Able fucking City, devastating the place and almost killing Dr. Kane.
So
This is
Dr.
gonna sound
Kane
crazy.
isn't dead.
Not saying that there is anything right about this, but
In
this
this timeline.
is how you start an anti-human rebellion. Like, I don't know. This really
In
made me
this
think about how
timeline,
Sigma
Kane
started the
isn't
Maverick
destroyed.
Wars in the
Yeah,
original
so
timeline.
he didn't die in that
shit
time.
was
in that
weak,
time.
bro. You recruit a bunch of hunters and attack the city? Okay. This Sigma had the balls to commit to the cause and do the unthinkable. Imagine if this is how they started the original X1 back in 1993. First time players would have lost their fucking minds. But after Sigma's act of genocide, X receives the #1 enemy of any villain when they're on their high horse, a flashback. He recounts the moment that Light sealed him in his capsule. Here the scientist tells him that his name, X, is a variable meant to represent his limitless potential. But he's too dangerous for the world right now and blah blah blah. Y'all know the rest. This vision pushes him to tap into his hidden power and hit his former commander with the Shining Finger,
You see? There you go.
leaving Sigma's
He
face
said
scarred.
true.
Unfortunately, he's knocked out soon after. Sigma then leaves to stand on a rooftop and bask in the destruction he created, thus starting the actual game. For the most part, things go similarly to X1. X now has a navigator giving him information from Hunter HQ. During the first Vile boss fight, the Maverick once again makes it clear how much he does not mess with him.
Rebellion? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just here to cause trouble for you. I hate you.
Which reminds me, the characters are fully voiced in this game, and they actually sound pretty good. Lucas Gilbertson does a decent job at making Zero sound like the badass he's meant to be, and Roger Rhodes, in my opinion, is a definitive Vile voice. Anyway, X loses to Vile, fights Sigma's lieutenant, gets stronger, and then Zero self-destructs. But listen to how annoyed he is at having to save X again.
Zero! Hang in there, buddy!
X,
Hang in there,
I'm
buddy.
always telling you to be more careful. But now look at me.
Homie is sick of his shit. Afterward, he confronts Velgarder and then Sigma. And I gotta give it to Mark Gartha, the voice of X. He really killed it here. The emotion in X's voice is perfect.
I'll finish this! Right here, right
Right
now!
now.
I will defeat you, Sigma!
Oh my
Of
god, that
course,
scene
X
is
defeats
so
the Maverick
good though.
Commander. Then the game ends with him driving on a cycle,
Battle
while
Network
Light talks
is
about his
cool.
reasoning for creating him in the
Definitely,
background. And from what he says,
hold on.
it looks like Light's plan for X was
Battle Network is cool. Definitely check that out too. He has a Battle Network video, I think. So if you want to check that out, we can listen to that. But truly, the voice acting of this is great. I think I own all the collections except for Battle Network. Oh, bro, join me if you get the Battle Network one. We gotta play because we can battle each other if you get the Battle Network one. Because I have it on the Switch, but I will buy it on PC just so I can play with you. I plan on it. I just have to build up the nerve to spend $30 on it. True. But let me know. I have to also build up that nerve because I have to buy them again because I have them physically, but I don't have them on my PC. I think I have the classic collection on my PC, but I don't have the X collection on my PC, and I don't have I don't have X, Zero, and Battle Network on my PC. But I will change that. I need to play the classic one first. Once we beat the classic one, I'll get more. You know. Hold on, I want to go back and listen to the voice because the voices in Maverick Hunter X is my favorite part of Maverick Hunter X. You know, it's like he said, the person that played X really put the emphasis on his anger with Sigma in that scene. It was really good.
Here the scientist tells him that his name, X, is a variable meant to represent his limitless potential. But he's too dangerous for the world right now and blah blah blah. Y'all know the rest. This vision pushes him to tap into his hidden power and hit his former commander with the Shining Finger, leaving Sigma's face scarred. Unfortunately, he's knocked out soon after. Sigma then leaves to stand on a rooftop and bask in the destruction he created, thus starting the actual game. For the most part, things go similarly to X1. X now has a navigator giving him information from Hunter HQ. During the first Vile boss fight, the the Maverick once again makes it clear how much he does not mess with him.
Rebellion? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just here to cause trouble for you. I hate you.
Which reminds me, the characters are fully voiced in this game, and they actually sound pretty good. Lucas Gilbertson does a decent job at making Zero sound like the badass he's meant to be, and Roger Rhodes, in my opinion, is a definitive Vile voice. Anyway, X loses to Vile, fights Sigma's lieutenant, gets stronger, and then Zero self-destructs. But listen to how annoyed he is at having to save X again.
Zero! Hang in there, buddy!
X, I'm always telling you to be more careful. But now look at me.
Homie is sick of his shit. Afterward, he confronts Velgarder and then Sigma. And I gotta give it to Mark Gartha, the voice of X. He really killed it here. The emotion in X's voice is perfect.
I'll finish this! Right here, right now! I will defeat you, Sigma!
Of course, X defeats the Maverick Commander, and the game ends with him driving on a cycle, while Light talks about his reasoning for creating him in the background. And from what he says, it looks like Light's plan for X was similar to Sigma. The Doctor also wanted X's conscience to aid in the evolution of Reploids, but more in a positive way and less in a destroy all humans way. Outside of the main story, the game also has a non-canon Vile mode, for those who need a little more hate in their lives. In it, you play through the story as Vile instead of X, and honestly, I'm a little surprised by how in-depth it is. I thought it was just gonna be a reskin of X's story, but nah, homie has his own cutscenes and dialogue with the bosses. As for his main goal, Day of Sigma already hinted at it, but actually, you know what? I'll just let Vile tell you himself.
You've been drawn into Sigma's rebellion as well? Rebellion? I couldn't care less. I just hate you, that's all.
I mean, yeah, he wants to prove to Sigma that he's a robot that can change the world, but it's mostly fuck X. So he proceeds to fight the Hunter as well as all the Maverick bosses. And what's hilarious is that most of the Mavericks are like, bro, what are you doing here? And in response, Vile says some violent shit like, I'll take down anyone who gets in my way. Bro, I know you hate X, but calm down, damn. This whole rampage leads to him getting jumped by the Hunter duo. He wins at first, but gets too busy talking all that hot shit, giving Zero the chance to grab onto his leg. Then our boy X charges his buster and blasts his ass. Afterwards, Sigma comes up to him like, dude, what was the goal here? What was the plan? And he's like, I'ma be real, I don't know. So Sigma calls for his broken body to be picked up. But tell me how this all ends with him saying he doesn't care about the world. By defeating X, he validated his existence. Bro, I wish the Maverick Hunter's field guide went more into who created these Reploids and when. Because I gotta know what went into Vile's creation. I know he had a cognitive issue or whatever, but this amount of hate is obscene. But that's about it for Maverick Hunter X. So the big question is it canon or not? Well, I originally wrote this part with a confident no, since it was meant to start a reboot that never happened. But of all things, the Maverick Hunter's field guide fucked me up. It adds lore from Maverick Hunter X, even though the field image they show for these characters are their Mega Man X1 sprites. So honestly, it depends on how you want to go about it. I see the game overall as not canon, but the origins depicted in Day of Sigma can be mixed in with the original origin story without too much contrast. They both lead to the beginning of the Maverick Wars anyway, and that's what matters. However, we have spent way too much time here. Folks, I'm gonna need you to rewind and forget everything you learned about Maverick Hunter X. For the people who skipped, welcome back. I hope you got some snacks, because it's time to get into Mega Man X2. It's been a few months since the events of X1. Maverick activity has died down. As the only competent Reploid left in the Force, X leads the new generation of Maverick Hunters, who are at a mere fraction of their past strength. They eventually hear word of Sigma followers planning a huge comeback. Kane traces them back to an underground factory, so X and his unit raid the place. And to show just how useless our boys' team is, look at how this Hunter got bodied in the opening sequence of the intro stage of X2. They didn't even get to the real fight yet. Homie's less competent than a minion from League of Legends, so it's up to X to raid the factory alone. But once he's done, a whole new Maverick uprising occurs, with 8 Special A-class Mavericks leading the charge.
Wire Sponge, Flame Stag, Bubble Crab, Wheel Gator, Overdrive Ostrich, Crystal Snail, Morph Moth, and Magna Centipede.
Going down the list, Wire Sponge was actually built for the Maverick Army, which is a huge problem. These guys are just replenishing their ranks at this point. Meanwhile, the Hunters just have X. Luckily, Wire Sponge has a defect that makes him childish. Flamestag was once a member of the 17th Elite Unit, but defected with Koanger during the first Maverick Uprising. However, he didn't actually do anything because he was too busy trying to cause the most catastrophic volcano eruption that would block the sun with ash and lead to another ice age. This dude is fucking crazy. Bubble Crab was also a hunter, but defected for the money. Wheel Gator was honestly bad from jump. He got let go from the Maverick Hunters for violently attacking a comrade. Overdrive Ostrich used to be a part of the Hunter 7th Airborne unit, but an accident caused him to lose his wings. He was still fast as fuck though, and Sigma also thought he was fast as fuck. So when he invited Overdrive Ostrich to join the cause, he happily accepted, thankful for the recognition. Crystal Snail is a complete enigma. Morph Moth is of unknown origin too, but his main job is to revive Mavericks for their army and build new ones. And last is Magna Centipede, who honestly had it rough. He was a member of the 0th Shinobi unit, and when the first Maverick Uprising happened, he refused to defect. But the Mavericks couldn't have that.
Why did you defect?
He got kidnapped and brainwashed into a Maverick devoid of emotion. Now, ironically, his main job in this uprising is to try and spread the Sigma virus around the globe through the central computer. So X goes after the 8 rampaging Mavericks, but on his quest, he discovers the trio who seems to be the true leaders of this uprising: Surges, Agile, and Violent. And fun fact, the designs of these guys were actually inspired by the trio who are going to be the original antagonists of this series. At some point, Inafune combined them into the one Sigma. They call themselves the X-Hunters, and once they peep how much of a problem X is, they hit him up to let him know that they have Zero's parts, and are planning to rebuild him to work for them. X will have to defeat them if he wants his friend back. Now, funny thing about this plot point, with it being a big part of X2, you'd think the team always planned for Zero to make his epic return in this game. But nope, according to the official Complete Works, they brought him back because it would suck if he stayed dead. One of the designers, Yoshihisa Suda, mentioned how Inafune just kinda came in one day and said, "Don't you think it'd be a shame if Zero stayed dead?" So they decided to bring him back in parts. Although it was never confirmed, this kinda looks like the plot of X2 was made to bring Zero back to the series. But that's just me. Also, one last tangent. It's possible, emphasis on possible, that Surges is a reincarnated Wily. The Maverick Hunter's field guide states that his genius has been compared to that of the scientist. Along with that, the whole Revive Zero plan was his idea, he's the only one out of the X-Hunters who wasn't built for combat, and in the Japanese version of X2, his final words expressed disappointment in being defeated by one of Light's creations again. According to the official Complete Works, when asked about this, Inafune said that he never gave a clear answer, because he wanted to leave it up to the player's imagination. But hey, he didn't deny it, so I feel like it could be true. Anyway, X proceeds to body all the Mavericks, and the X-Hunters. He collects all the pieces of Zero and returns them to Dr. Kane. Then they find the location of the X-Hunters' hideout. He raids the place and ends up going against the X-Hunters again. But even after defeating them, his job isn't done yet. X hears Sigma calling him for one last showdown. He survived their last skirmish by living on through the Sigma virus. Now he has a new body and is ready to run it back. With no other choice, X accepts the challenge and goes to confront the Maverick leader. But when they meet, one of two things happens. If X didn't collect the Zero parts, then Sigma summons the revived Reploid as a Maverick and says some wild shit like, "Hey, Mega Bitch X, my friend over here has a bone to pick with you. I hear you let him die and he's not too happy about that." Then you gotta fight him to snap him out of his frenzy. However, if X did collect the parts, then Sigma summons a copy of Zero and says the same disrespectful shit. But the real Zero, revived by Kane, comes in and destroys the clone. And he has shoulder pads now. Then Sigma's like, "Wait, Zero, I know your secret. You should be working with me." Which shows that he knows Wily built Zero. But the Red Hunter deadass retorts with, "Maybe so, but I still don't like you." Either way, Sigma dips afterward. Zero goes to take care of the central computer cause, don't forget, the Mavericks were trying to use it to spread the Sigma virus, and X confronts Sigma, who seems to have upgraded himself with Wolverine claws? Aight, so hear me out. X2 was released in 1994, right? And X-Men Children of Atom was another game developed by Capcom that also came out in 1994. Just 8 days before X2, in fact. Meaning these games are most likely developed at the same time. So I think this X-Men game has something to do with the change, especially because from what I remember, he doesn't get these Wolverine claws ever again. but I could be wrong, so let me know what y'all think in the comments. So after yet another epic clash, X defeats the Maverick commander, and then beats his virus form. As he falls, he states that this isn't the end. All these defeats will only make him stronger, which will bring the blue Reploid closer to his doom. After that, X and Zero stare out into the distance, as X thinks about the peaceful world that Light dreamt about. Will humans and robots ever be able to live in peace?
Nope.
And though things are chill now, how long will this calm last? We'll find that out, and more, right after this commercial break. Mega Man X, Honest Gaming History. Hey you! Yeah, you. A little Reploid told me you need more drip in your life. Well, look no further than right here on the Don'tchiverse.com. Here you'll find all my merch, from the Phoenix Wright inspired graphic tees to the DBZ inspired Mastodon collection. But if that isn't your thing, we've also got accessories like desk mats and teacups. Along with that, the Don'tchiverse.com is like, look at this cover! Look at how dope it looks! To kick off this chapter, we begin with the first spin-off game in this spin-off series, Mega Man Extreme. This was a short series on the Game Boy Color, and unlike Rockman World, it was actually developed by Capcom. Also, the sole artist for this game, Haruki Suetsugu, killed it with these designs. Like, look at this cover! Look at how dope it looks! In fact, all the art for this game looks sick as hell. Lore-wise, it's been some time since the last Maverick Uprising. X now has some support in leading the hunters with Zero by his side again, but shit gets out of hand once more when someone hacks into the mother computer of Maverick Hunter HQ. All the data is overwritten, which throws the world into chaos. With the help of a Reploid named Mitty, X enters cyberspace to find the culprit. And I don't know how true this is, but I can see how this idea might have led to the cyber world we see in Mega Man Battle Network. Like the Rockman World series, X must face revived bosses to proceed. However, here, the reasoning is a lot cooler. Since he's fighting in cyberspace, he's fighting old Maverick data. On his journey, he runs into one of the culprits, Zane, a member of the Shadow Hunters. He eventually beats him along with the 4 revived Maverick bosses, then confronts Sigma, cause of course he's the mastermind behind all this. After defeating him, X finds the hacker responsible for messing with the mother computer, a Maverick named Techno. X shoots his terminal, which kills the guy, but unbeknownst to him, Mitty and Techno are twins, and I guess for them that means they share the same CPU. So killing Techno kills Mitty. On top of that, Techno wasn't even bad. Sigma made him do all this. So after Mitty encourages X to keep pushing forward, the Hunter avenges him by taking Sigma down again. But I guess X and the squad didn't learn from their lesson, cause they get hacked again. This time it's by Gimel, the other half of the Shadow Hunters. So X must once again enter cyberspace. After fighting 4 more revived Mavericks and the remaining Shadow Hunter, X defeats Sigma once and for all. And the dude shows that he's already sick of losing to him, saying,
Why do you always win?
Sigma, this is your 3rd loss. Until you start racking up as many L's as Wily, I don't want to hear shit. So peace temporarily returns to the world, until a Reploid scientist named Dr. Doppler is like, wait a minute, if this Sigma virus is the problem, why don't we just make a cure? That's what the humans do. So he does just that, and actually manages to cure a bunch of Mavericks. Then to house this new community, he creates a Doppeltown, a utopia free from violence. Things stay calm for a couple of months, but then Mavericks start rioting again, taking us into X3. But get this, all the Maverick Hunter's data points to Dr. Doppler as the mastermind behind everything, so X and Zero head out to question him. However, it looks like the Doctor assumed this was gonna happen, cause he attacks the Hunter base before the duo can even get to him. So they return, whoop some ass, but find out that their fellow Hunter, Mac, is a traitor. He traps X, leaving it up to Zero to once again save his life. Which reminds me, this was the first game that allowed you to play as Zero. After saving their home, Zero returns to HQ to help with repairs, while X heads to Doppeltown. There, 8 powerful Mavericks await his arrival.
Blast Hornet, Blizzard Buffalo, Tunnel Rhino, Gravity Beetle, Volt Catfish, Neon Tiger, Toxic Seahorse, and Crush Crawfish.
Aight, so Blast Hornet actually used to work for Zero. Before all this, Zero's presence was requested at Doppeltown, but he went in instead. In doing so, he ended up getting infected by the Sigma virus. Hate to see it. Blizzard Buffalo used to be chill, but then the Sigma virus came in and he started attacking innocents. Tunnel Rhino used to be a miner, but then he got invited to Doppeltown and, you guessed it, he went Maverick. Gravity Beetle used to be a part of the Hunters, but went Maverick out of revenge for Boomerang Kwanger. That's cool. I think that's the first Maverick boss connection in between games so far. Volt Catfish used to work as a backup generator for cities during times of disaster, but then that damn Sigma virus made him go crazy too. Neon Tiger used to protect the wildlife in his home from poachers, but Sigma virus. Toxic Seahorse is another enigma, but he was tasked with poisoning drinking water for humans, which is fucked up. And finally, poor Crush Crawfish had a flaw in his system that made it hard for him to tell friend from foe. So bitch-ass Doppler used this to his advantage to get him on his side. Along with these bosses, Dr. Doppler also sends his Nightmare Police and the revived Vile, Vile Mark II. The Nightmare Police is made up of two Mavericks named Bit and Bite. They were built using the specifications of the most advanced Reploids in the world. So, on paper, they should be hella strong. The Maverick Hunter's field guide even says that Bite's strength could be compared to Sigma's. Regardless, the Hunter duo takes out the Maverick bosses, the Nightmare Police, and Vile. And hold up, I've been racking my brain about this for the longest. Is it me, or does Bit look like Metabee from Metabots? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, using the memory chips of the defeated Mavericks, Dr. Kane pinpoints the location of Doppler's lab. With that, the two Hunters commence yet another gauntlet, which includes a rematch with Vile and a battle against a fused Bit and Bite. They turn into this godlike Reploid named God Car Machine Oinari. Oh, and Vile still got that deep, deep hate for X. When X finishes him off, he tells the guy that he will haunt him till the day he dies. Vile, fucking relax. Then X finally reaches and defeats Doppler, but it's revealed that Sigma was behind everything. He corrupted the Doctor using his virus form. That vaccine, it was just a placebo. And to add to the list of horrible shit Sigma made him do, the Doctor reveals that he was forced to make the Tyrant a new battle body as well. So X rushes to fight the Maverick leader and wins, even with this new body. And homie is so salty, bro. He's like,
What? I still can't beat you? Even with this magnificent battle body?
but once he's down to his virus form, he's like, fuck it, and tries to possess X. But his plan fails in one of two ways. One involves Doppler sacrificing himself to destroy Sigma with the vaccine. The other ending involves Zero coming in to save X instead. He somehow infused Doppler's vaccine in his Z-Saber and slashes Sigma with it. Either way, Sigma is destroyed by Doppler's vaccine. That's what matters. Then, as X and Zero stare at the remains of the fallen Doctor's lab, we get the usual, X ponders about the meaning of this war. Why must they fight? Will they ever find peace? But then the scene ends with them saying that X's destiny has already been sealed. To save humanity, he must destroy Zero. Excuse me? Bro, imagine being a kid, getting all hyped that you finally beat this game, but then you see this wild-ass message at the end. And then instead of giving us a little more context, they're just like,
Only time will tell when this clash will happen.
like, what? At least hint at it more throughout the game before you drop a bomb like that. Anyway, with the day saved, I guess, let's move to the next game in this timeline. Mega Man Xtreme 2. Reploids all over the world are getting their data wiped, leaving them as lifeless shells. They dubbed this phenomenon Erasure. Then one day, the readings of all the Reploids on Lagoo's Island vanish, just like that. They call this dark as fuck event the Erasure Incident. In response, the Hunters send X and Zero to investigate. And though this isn't the first game where Zero is fully playable, he does have his own mode here. They're also aided by a new character named Iris. She's the product of a failed experiment by Repliforce scientists. But that's as far as I'll go in terms of her backstory because the Repliforce doesn't get introduced till X4. After defeating Skullhead, the guardian of the island, they're confronted by a Reploid named Gareth. He states that he is a soul eraser who eliminates the souls of Mavericks. But Zero's like,
That's bullshit. Tell us what you really do.
and tell me how this guy is like,
It takes real guts to ask me a question like that. Interesting. Let's play a little game. If you can take out the 8 guardians of this island, then you can fight me.
So the Hunters split up the task, and each take on 4 Guardians, who are just revived bosses from previous games. In the process, Iris finds out that this erasure phenomenon is caused by Reploids getting their DNA souls taken. Gareth and whoever he's working for are stealing them to make themselves stronger. In fact, the 8 Guardians were revived using the souls of other Reploids. That's kinda sorta really fucked up. Once the Guardians are down, the mastermind behind this whole operation appears, Burkana. She was once involved with Reploid research and development, and according to the Maverick Hunter's field guide, she's been rumored to have created Gareth. But now she's a Maverick who has an odd interest in X. She thinks he's cute, especially when angry. weird. Also, thinking about it now, this interest might be why she chose to steal DNA souls. Since X is able to copy abilities, maybe she tried emulating that. Either way, the Maverick Witch challenges the Hunter duo to one final showdown in her base. They accept, and once again split up. Zero goes after Gareth, while X goes after Burkana. Once they defeat the two, the comatose Reploids regain their souls, and things go back to normal. Nah, I'm just kidding. You already know Sigma has got to show up for the once. In the Extreme Mode bonus ending, it's revealed that Burkana was working for the Maverick Tyrant this whole time. However, he thought she went too far, which I kinda get. Stealing the souls of possible soldiers for the Maverick army doesn't make much sense. But then again, we already know that Sigma has people building him soldiers, so what does it even matter? Regardless, the Maverick Hunters defeat the guy, thus putting an end to the Extreme series, and this chapter of the timeline. So next up is X4. This wasn't only the first game in the series to give Zero his own mode, but also the first to have animated and voice cutscenes. And I'd love to praise the performances.
Speaking of Rockman, you know they made a prequel comic to Gravity Circuit. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Where? I need it. I need it. I need it. I need it. Thank you. I need it. You send it to me. I need it. They need DLC, Discord. Okay, thank you. They need DLC because I want to play that game again. It's so fun.
But I'm not gonna hold you. Shit is just as ass as the Mega Man 8 English
It's
dub.
free. It
but
was
I
for
can't
their
hate
anniversary.
because they
Bet.
gave us this gem right here.
Ah! No, this isn't happening. There's no reason for me to go on.
What am I fighting for?
This scene makes this whole dub worth it. Also, this was the first in the series that only launched on the Sega Saturn and PlayStation, not the Super Nintendo. The change in platforms made them upgrade the style of the art, and I love it. It reminds me of the drastic change from Mega Man 7 to Mega Man 8. Plot-wise, a new Maverick hunting force has been formed, and they call themselves the Repliforce. For some time, they work with the Maverick Hunters to keep the world safe. This leads to Zero forming a close bond with the girl from Extreme 2, Iris, and her brother, Colonel. As I said before, Iris is part of a failed Repliforce experiment. However, Colonel was a part of that experiment too. The organization tried building a Reploid with a strong fighting spirit and pacifistic heart, but it didn't work out. So they instead created two separate Reploids to embody each ideal. Iris had the pacifistic heart, while Colonel the fighting spirit. With the Maverick Hunters and Repliforce both making a difference, things stay chill for a bit. But everything changes when the floating city of Sky Lagoon gets attacked. Maverick sabotage the generator, and though the Hunters try their best to solve the situation, they fail. The floating city ends up falling on the surface, killing thousands. The Hunters run into Colonel during the fallout, and though they don't outright accuse the Repliforce for causing this, they question Colonel as if they're responsible. They even ask them to lower their weapons and come back to HQ for questioning. But Colonel is like, bro, I only came here to save my sister. The Repliforce hasn't done shit. What are you even talking about? But once the Hunters mention that they'll have to treat them as Maverick, Colonel snaps. He tells them to consider them Maverick if that's what they wish, then dips. And I'm not gonna hold you, I feel Colonel here. Like, I mean, if you accuse me and my people for shit we didn't do, I'd be pissed too. So in response, the Repliforce makes a commendable move. Its leader, a big-ass Reploid named General, announces that he wants to build a Reploid-only nation in space, where they can live free from prosecution. He's not trying to start beef with anyone, he just wants a place where he and his fam can relax. Oh, and I know I already came at the voices, but General's voice is so weird, like it doesn't match him at all.
Brave soldiers of Repliforce, we have all been wrongfully judged as Mavericks by the humans.
I don't
We
know
cannot
who was in
suffer
charge
this
of casting,
indignity
but
and live in
why?
disgrace.
What could
We
have been
will
the
build
reasoning
our
for
own
this?
nation.
Anyway, the Hunters see all this as a coup, so they move out to stop the Repliforce, beginning the Great Repliforce War. And as usual, 8 Mavericks, some Repliforce, some not, stand in their way.
Frost Walrus, Web Spider, Split Mushroom, Magma Dragoon,
And this is
Jet
really, it's a really fun
Stingray,
like game.
Cyber
As far as, like,
Peacock, Storm Owl, and Slash Beast.
Before all this, Frost Walrus was already a violent individual, which made him a target for the Maverick Hunters. This aggressive nature made him jump at the opportunity of joining the Repliforce. Web Spider was a Maverick Hunter who ended up joining the Repliforce as their guerrilla unit's commander. Split Mushroom was revived by Sigma. Jet Stingray is just like Armored Armadillo. He got recruited to the Repliforce, and his loyalty to the cause made him join the war. Cyber Peacock was once an AI meant to protect important computer systems, but he was reprogrammed by Sigma. Storm Owl is also a member of Repliforce, but he's been holding a grudge against the Hunters ever since the defeat of his old friend Storm Eagle. Slash Beast joined the Repliforce to test his strength, and last but not least we have Magma Dragoon. He was once a Maverick Hunter, but he betrayed them. He was actually the one who sabotaged Sky Lagoon and started this whole mess. His reasoning? He wanted the chance to face X and Zero without holding back. Yup, homie defected and then joined the Repliforce for the smoke. But when you think about his inspiration, it actually makes sense. According to the Maverick Hunter's field guide, Magma Dragoon is a practitioner of the Ansatsuken, Akuma style from Street Fighter.
I haven't played that.
And if you didn't already know, Akuma lives for the hands. However, the reference goes even deeper than that. One of Akuma's greatest feats in Street Fighter was destroying an island with one blow. Though it wasn't done in the same fashion, Dragoon also caused an island to get destroyed. I have no idea if this was done on purpose, but if it was, that's pretty cool. Anyway, Zero and X engaged with the Mavericks. Zero was aided by Iris, while X is aided by a new recruit named Double. As they do their thing, the Repliforce continues constructing the satellite they plan to migrate to space with.
Yeah, so
However,
we haven't played it.
it looks like this new home also doubles as a big-ass space laser.
We
The
bring
game
some
refers to it as
democracy.
their final
We need
weapon.
to.
This part confused me because General never gave any
And this
reason to
is
make us
series,
think he
so
needed to
I've
build
been
some
playing it.
crazy
Oh, yeah.
violent weapon.
I
thought this was
wonder
supposed
if we
to be
can
a chill,
play it if
peaceful
it's
move,
cross,
but I guess
cross-play.
not. If any of you guys can give me clarity on
It's
this in
super
the
fun.
comments, it would be much appreciated. Maybe I missed something.
A-
But
a
after finishing off the
W
Mavericks,
gift.
Zero ends up having one final showdown against Kerno. They've been beefing since the Hunters accused the Repliforce of going Maverick. Their clash ends with Zero as the victor, but he ain't too happy about this. Not only did he not want to kill his old friend, but now he has to explain to his sister how he died. Regardless, the Reploid falls, asking Zero to let Iris know that he died as a proud Repliforce soldier. Afterward, the Hunter duo chases after the rest of Repliforce who dipped to space. As they fight through the satellite, X is stopped by Double, who reveals himself to be a spy. Sigma was manipulating everything behind the shadows to get the Hunters and Repliforce at odds. He sent Double to keep an eye on X, but even with the element of surprise on his side, the Yellow Maverick is still no match for our blue hero. Meanwhile, Zero confronts Iris, and unfortunately for him, she opts for the Avenge My Brother route. This leads to Zero killing her, which leads to this.
What am I fighting for?
Man, I will never get tired of that. Now X and Zero can apprehend the General. When they get to him, X asks why this had to lead to violence, and the Repliforce leader responds with, "Bro, you're the ones who called us Maverick, the fuck did you expect us to do?" And X is kinda left standing there like, damn, you right. After beating him, Sigma shows himself, only to get taken out soon after. But instead of his usual saltiness, the Maverick leader is filled with pride, because the final weapon is preparing to fire at Earth and nothing can stop it. Fortunately, or unfortunately, I guess, General is still alive, and sacrifices himself to prevent the end of the world. With the day saved, barely, X and Zero return home. In X's ending, you can tell this whole situation shook him up. He worries about going Maverick and tells Zero that if he does, he needs to take him out. Similarly, Zero's ending sees him distraught too. Throughout the story, he was hit with flashbacks of his past, specifically about his creation and his fight with Sigma. He returns home thinking about Iris, and asks if all of them turn out to be Mavericks after all. That's fucking haunting.
Yeah, that's
fam.
crazy.
So now we have both Zero and X
What
worrying
am I
if they
fighting
are Mavericks, or will end up
for?
turning into Mavericks eventually. And
We
know that they're destined to fight. That's a
an
pretty
option to
depressing
turn
note
on
to end this
crossplay.
game on.
Hey, bet, let's do it.
Regardless, we move on to
I
Mega Man
haven't
X5.
spread democracy
Fun
in
fact,
months.
Inafune had little to do with this title. According to the official Complete Works, he told the team to finish out the series with this one. In fact, the first Mega Man Zero game was being developed alongside this one, so the original plan was that this would lead into that series. But we now know that didn't end up happening. So if this game feels like the end to you, that's why. Anyway, the story takes place several months after the Great Repliforce War. A new Reploid named Cygnus now leads the Maverick Hunters. The Maverick Hunters field guide says that his predecessor stepped down, due to guilt over the casualties of the Repliforce War. Now, I didn't see anything clearly stating that X gave up his role as leader ever since taking the spot in X2, so this might mean that he gave Cygnus the position. But the guide is usually pretty good with mentioning an important character if they're involved with something. And X isn't mentioned here, so I'm gonna go ahead and assume that at some point, some random NPC started acting as the Hunter Commander. The field guide also mentions that Cygnus' CPU is extremely precise, and one of the most complex out of all Reploids. In exchange for this buff, his combat stats are ass though. Along with this change to the Maverick Hunter's hierarchy, repairs have been ongoing for the space colonies damaged during the Great Repliforce War. The last one that needs to be fixed is Eurasia. But one day, a Maverick bounty hunter hired by Sigma named Dynamo commandeers the place and infects it with the Sigma virus. Meanwhile, Sigma pulls up to Earth for seemingly no reason. After X and Zero take care of him, his explosion causes the Sigma virus to spread across the globe. Reploids and mechanoloids everywhere start malfunctioning, while humans begin getting sick. Yet nobody's safe this time. So the hunters regroup and assess their situation. There's a global pandemic, and thanks to Dynamo, Eurasia's gravity system got fucked. So now it's free falling down to Earth. If it hits, everybody gonna die. So Aelia, another new Maverick hunter, suggests they use Enigma, an ancient laser beam of mass destruction. With it, they can destroy the colony before impact. However, they'll need X and Zero to collect 4 parts to make it work, and getting them won't be easy, as 4 powerful Mavericks are guarding them.
Crescent Grizzly, Volt Kraken, Shining Firefly, and Tidal Whale.
So Crescent Grizzly used to be an illegal weapons dealer. Crazy, I know. He also knows that he will eventually succumb to the Sigma virus, so he chooses to fight X and Zero of his own free will before that happens. Oh, and that scar on his face was actually given to him by Zero. Volt Kraken used to be friends with Launch Octopus, but ever since the Maverick's death, he's held a grudge against X and Zero. Shining Firefly was a Reploid scientist who was distrusting of the Hunters, but very interested in X and Zero. Due to the virus taking over his systems, he asked the duo to put him out of his misery once they confront him. And last up, Tidal Whale was the Oceanographic Museum Chief and Maritime Security Force Captain. When the Hunter duo beats him, he asks to be laid to rest in the sea he loves so much. Also, in the English version of this game, each Maverick boss got a different name inspired by a Guns N' Roses band member. So Crescent Grizzly was Grizzly Slash, Volt Kraken was Squid Adler, Shining Firefly was Izzy Glow, and Tidal Whale was Duff McWhalen. Once the Maverick bosses are down, the Hunters use the gathered parts to fire Enigma, but it only destroys a portion of Eurasia. So they go with Plan B, crash a space shuttle into the landmass. But guess what? This shuttle requires 4 parts to run too, and these parts are being guarded by another 4 Maverick bosses.
Spiral Pegasus, aka the Skyver. Spike Rose Red, aka Axel the Red. Dark Necrobat, aka Dark Dizzy. And Burn Dino Rex, aka Matrex.
Going down the list, Spiral Pegasus used to be a part of Repliforce, and asked to be taken down in one final duel after the Sigma virus outbreak. Spike Rose Red was once a nature control unit, but the virus mutated him into what you see here. Dark Necrobat was built by Sigma 3 years ago, but he ran away from his master. And Burn Dino Rex was also a part of Repliforce, but homie also has an illegal weapons problem. After taking down all these guys and collecting the shuttle parts, they proceed with Plan B. Zero volunteers to fly the shuttle, and he manages to destroy the falling colony. However, debris from the impact still falls to Earth. A few hours later, Zero was found safe and sound in his crashed shuttle, but something is off. The virus from the colony and Sigma virus somehow fused and caused the formation of a small cyberspace pocket dimension. Stranger yet, the readings of this new combined virus are similar to Zero's. Because of this, Aelia calls it the Zero virus. X heads to the crash site looking for his friend, but when he finds him, things don't go the way he hoped. He tells him that they should go back to HQ so he can get repaired. Staying around all this virus is too dangerous. But Zero refuses, believing that sticking around can help him find more clues. So X pulls a Naruto and is like, listen man, I know now is probably a bad time to fight since we're on a mission and all, but I'll bring you back by any means necessary. X, chill bro, ain't you all about the peace and shit? What happened? Zero refuses again, and thus, the prophecy is fulfilled. The 2 hunters clash, but it ends in a draw. While they're both down, Sigma pulls up talking all that hot shit, ready to finally end X. But Zero defends him and scares the commander away. With that, the hunters reunite for one last hunt. Once they get to Sigma, the guy reveals everything. He's been receiving help from an old man, a man who was very interested in Zero, and thinks of him as his son. Though he doesn't outright say it, it's pretty obvious this old man is Wily. Under the doctor's instructions, Sigma spread the Sigma virus all over the planet, and set up the Eurasia colony crash to try and increase its power. The hope was that it would turn Zero back into his true self, the tool for world domination that his creator wanted him to be. And though it failed, all this still raises a huge concern. If Sigma was instructed by Wily, that means they were somehow conversing. So, did Wily find a way to transfer his essence into the Maverick virus? I'm not 100% sure if he did, but let me know what you think in the comments. Anyway, Zero's basically like, yeah, you may be right about all that, but it's still fuck Sigma till I die. Then together with X, they beat him, but the salty-ass Maverick blows himself up, severely damaging the Red Hunter. X is distraught over his state, but Sigma, somehow still kicking, uses this as an opportunity to nail both of them. But Zero, also somehow still kicking, blasts right back and destroys the Maverick. This leads to two different endings. In X's ending, he's found by a hologram of Light, who somehow repairs him and sends him back to Hunter HQ? After that scene, we move 3 years into the future. X is now a Special A class Hunter, who fights with his old friend Z-Saber. A Hunter comments on how his eyes have a new sharpness that is reminiscent of Zero. This makes me think about Aaron Hansen / Egoraptor's sequelitis video on Mega Man X. In it, he talks about how the blue Reploid was slowly growing to look and fight like Zero in the first game. I feel like that observation comes full circle here. Anyway, in Zero's ending, we watch as his life flashes before his eyes. Now that he's aware that he was the original holder of the Maverick virus, he lets himself die believing it'll help the world achieve peace. The final image he sees is a virus. So this is all depressing as shit, but there's a third ending that takes the cake. This one gets triggered earlier. Depending on how you go about the game, Zero can end up going Maverick once he crash lands on Earth. In this situation, X is forced to defeat his friend, and then face Sigma alone. Once he wins, Hologram Light finds him once again, but this time he's repaired with no memory of Zero. Without the tragedy of his best friend's death dragging him down, he sets his sights on a new goal, building a utopia for everyone that he wants to call Elysium. In Greek mythology, this place is pretty much seen as the afterlife for heroes. But more specifically, in Homer's writings, he describes it as a land of perfect happiness at the end of the earth. So yay, X is finally gonna create his utopia free of violence, but at the cost of forgetting his best friend.
That's fucked, yo.
That's fucked up. However, none of that matters because the X series continued even though Inafune didn't want it to. According to the official complete works, the next game in the series, X6, just kind of fell into his lap. He said that the series was moving in a direction that was out of his control, and going forward, he wanted to be careful with how he managed it. Oh, if only you could see into the future, my friend. So this game takes place merely 3 weeks after the colony drop incident. Yeah, screw that whole 3-year time skip back in X's ending. The Hunters have put the majority of their efforts into rebuilding their home, but unfortunately, because of the pollution caused by Eurasia's debris, humans have moved underground. The good news is that this devastation put a lid on Maverick activity, so at least that's working out for them. Sadly, someone shows up to ruin the peace.
Okay, so there you go. Humans
Enter
are underground.
Gate, a prestigious Reploid researcher.
Mega
former
Hand.
associate
Yeah, that's the
of
one you got. Mega
Back
Hand.
in the day, his interest
But
in X
also,
and Zero led
so
him to
there
create
are
Reploids that were
they're just
ahead of their
underground.
time. However, just like Light feared for X,
That's why
the
you
streets
never
didn't
see
understand
them.
what he was cooking. So he
Too
became a
much debris
recluse.
and bullshit.
His colleagues grew jealous of his strides in robotics, so they
Okay,
sabotaged the
that makes
Reploids he
sense.
created
Yeah, right.
so they'd
There
be
you
deemed
go.
as Mavericks.
I always
This
thought there
obviously
wasn't
led to
because I
destruction.
never see him.
So
right?
Gate ain't the happiest dude alive right now.
But if
One
this-
day he
this is what
investigates
he's
the
saying,
crash site
I'll
where the
go by
Zero
what he's
virus was
saying.
born. And there, he finds a fragment containing Zero's DNA.
I'm
He
not
brings it
doing
back to
no
his lab for research. Then eventually, with the help of another Reploid researcher named Isaac, they decrypt Zero's code.
I suck.
Isaac is another character who may or may not be Wily. According to the Maverick Hunter's field guide, his voice resembles the Doctor's. Unfortunately for Gate, studying this fragment makes him go Maverick, so he does the wildest shit. This guy mutates the Sigma virus into something new and horrific called Nightmare. As the name suggests, this virus forces its victims to see nightmarish visions that could either lead to their malfunction or them straight up deleting themselves. What the actual fuck, Gate? Because he's losing his freaking mind, he
them
sees
being
this
underground.
madness as liberated.
Yeah,
but his
I mean,
plan
of
isn't
course
done
you're not
yet.
gonna see it, right?
He creates a
If they're
Reploid whose
underground.
power surpasses that of X,
Yeah,
High
so
Max.
that makes sense.
After that, he creates a nightmare-fueled copy of Zero named Zero Nightmare. Then finally, he revives 8 of his creations that were falsely labeled as Mavericks.
Commander Yamark, Blizzard Wolfang, Blaze Heatnix, Metal Shark Player, Rainy Turtleoid, Ground Skarovich, Shield Sheldon, and Infinity Maginian.
So ready yourself, because almost all these backstories are pretty sad. Commander Yamark was originally tasked with protecting the forest, but one day he accidentally lit it on fire. Though he wasn't held accountable for it, he later died due to one of Gate's haters sabotaging his flight system. Blizzard Wolfang was the leader of an investigation team in the North Pole, but his squad got brutally slaughtered by Mavericks. He left that situation with survivor's guilt, then was later destroyed by Gate's former colleagues. When he was revived, he joined Gate because he felt it was the only way to make it up to his dead team. Blaze Heatnix was just a dick. Homie was too strong and would leave his teammates if he felt they were weak. Metal Shark Player was involved with the legal DNA resurrection, so he got destroyed. Rainy Turtleoid, poor Rainy Turtleoid, was created by Gate with max defense stats, but the other scientists didn't like that. They told Gate to nerf the dude, but Turtleoid felt bad for all the heat his creator was getting, so he deleted himself. On a happier note, his stance reminds me of Akuma's post-Raging Demon, so, you know.
I like his intro
That's
too.
cool.
His song is
Brown
awesome.
Skarovich was sent by Gate to investigate the places where X and Zero were sealed. However, Aelia was sent to intercept and kill him. Damn, girl! Didn't know you had it in you! Also, Gate apparently didn't give a shit about this Reploid dying. Homie was a savage even before the virus got him. Shield Sheldon was in charge of protecting people of importance, but then one day, someone went Maverick under his watch. He had to take him out, which led to Gate's haters falsely labeling him as Maverick. Shield Sheldon couldn't take the accusations, so he deleted himself too. And last, Infinity Maginian. He was made to test large weaponry, but then Gate's haters started meddling, and it led to his death. So now you know the depressing origins of the X6 bosses. You're welcome? With everything set, Gate initiates his full plan. He empowers Hymax and his other Mavericks with Nightmare, then gets Isoc to secretly carry out a bunch of Maverick attacks. Nightmare begins to spread, and just like that, the world is in crisis once more. X is sent to the scene to quell Maverick activity, but he runs into Hymax. The guy blames all this on Zero Nightmare, who he claims is the ghost of Zero. X is like, "The fuck are you even talking about, bro? From what I can tell, you're behind all this." So they fight, but X can barely do anything to this guy. In the end, Hymax leaves saying the hunters ain't nothing special. He doesn't need them to stop Zero Nightmare. Afterward, Isoc shows himself to the public and also blames all the Maverick attacks on Zero Nightmare. He adds that the spread of Nightmare is the Maverick's fault too. However, he's working with Hymax and Gate's 8 revived Mavericks, who he calls the Nightmare Investigators, to save everyone. He ends his speech by asking for the help of any Reploids willing to volunteer. X thinks this is bullshit, so after a talk with his fellow hunters, he deploys to look into the 8 areas of interest the investigators were sent to. Eventually, after beating Zero Nightmare, he runs into the real Zero. Since X5 didn't end the timeline like it was supposed to, Zero just kinda came back to life, completely repaired. Don't think too hard about it. Even the Maverick Hunters field guy says some cryptic shit like, there are rumors that supernatural causes may have been involved with Zero's recovery. So I honestly have no idea what to make of this. With the help of Zero, X manages to clear out the rest of the Nightmare investigators, while saving volunteer Reploids stranded on the battlefield. Dynamo also appears looking for Nightmare souls to strengthen himself, but he catches the work too. Later, Gate ends up contacting the Hunter base, and tells him that he's the villain of this game. He plans on using Nightmare to form his Reploid dream world, where he's in control.
This is crazy.
Ailey is like, bro, come on man, you're better than this. But Gate's like, nah, fuck you, Aelia. Disrespectfully. Y'all couldn't let me rock with my Reploids, yet X and Zero are so unique that they can't even be studied. How are they any less dangerous than my Reploids that I created? Nah, y'all got me fucked up. Aelia, kick fucking rocks. X, Zero, see me with the fucking ones. So the Maverick duo pulls up to his lab, partakes in the gauntlet, beats Hymax once and for all, then takes out Gate. But then this dude says the wildest shit. Like, this dude Gate is one of the vilest Reploids we've ever seen in this timeline. You won't expect what he says next. This man reveals that on the side, he was rebuilding Sigma. Yeah, Sigma's back. Again. But Homeboy's like, fuck you, Gate. You didn't revive shit. I was never dead to begin with. Then he kills the guy. He was already down, and he was trying to help you. Sigma, the fuck? Either way, the hunters pursue him. But before they do, they notice Isoc's body. It's an empty husk that Aelia states is similar to the victims of the Erasure incident. Zero also swears that he hears the Maverick's voice pushing him forward before they proceed. So is it possible that that was Wily, and he somehow found a way to transfer his digital soul to different Reploid bodies? The world may never know. After that, they fight and defeat Sigma. X brings Gate's body back to base for Aelia, and they all commit to rebuilding the Earth. However, Like X5, this game also has alternate endings. If you don't find Zero, Alias stands with X during the final cutscene. However, as they're talking, Zero is revealed to be watching from afar. He talks about how he's gonna lead the hunters to X for the time being, then dips saying he's gotta do something. Which leads us to his ending. For the safety of the world, he decides to seal himself so the Maverick virus can be studied, and a cure can hopefully be found. The scientist he speaks to states that this process will take over 100 years to complete. And folks, this is where shit gets weird. As you already know, Inafune was already done with Mega Man X at this point. Since X5 didn't end the series, X6 was supposed to, hence Zero's ending. However, we still have X7, X8, and Command Mission. A common theory I've been seeing is that X6 causes a split in the timeline. In the main continuity, Zero's ending leads to the events that start Mega Man Zero. In the other, we have X7, X8, and Command Mission. However, another theory I've seen states that X7 and X8 are both in the main canon, while Command Mission isn't. Zero's X6 ending just happens further in the future than we thought. Now, I'm gonna be honest. Both sides have good points, but because I haven't seen anything from Capcom specifically stating that X7 and X8 aren't in the main continuity, I gotta go with the second theory. Of course, drop your counter arguments in the comments below, but without much further ado, let's get into the final chapter of the Mega Man X timeline. So
Command
X7
Mission
was
is
the
just fun,
series'
though.
first
That's all
try
I
at
gotta say
going
about Command
3D,
Mission.
and folks did not like it. They tried mixing in 2D elements to stay true to their usual formula, but it didn't work out. In fact, this is the only Mega Man X title launch I remember because of how much people didn't like it. However, outside of the gameplay issues, I recall this guy being the main target of everyone's hate. This is Axel, the new kid on the block. Armed with 2 pistols, the power to copy the ability of robots, and even transform into some robots, he made his debut as the main character of this game. Back then, from the outside looking in, I didn't see what the big deal was. I thought his design looked way better than X. Actually, Inafune's only contribution to this game wasn't helping with his look. But now that I'm waist deep in this Mega Man shit, I get the anger. Since X was absent for a lot of the game, it felt like Capcom was trying to force replace him. And though the voice acting overall was bad in this game, Axel's voice specifically was annoying as hell.
Okay, I'll tell you everything, but later. Right now, I have to take care of that freak.
Plot-wise, X7 takes place a while after X6. X has full-on left the Hunters to find a more peaceful answer to the ongoing Maverick Wars. This weakened the Force, so a new coalition was started by a Reploid named Red to fill the void. This is where our boy Axel comes in. He's a prototype of the new generation of Reploids, but that's all we know about his past. He joined Red Alert and quickly proved himself as an asset with his copy ability. However, things start getting weird when Red begins taking suggestions from someone dubbed the Professor. This guy convinces the Vigilante Syndicate to use the DNA data that Axel collects from his ability to strengthen themselves. But this leads to them attacking innocent Reploids. Once Axel takes notice, he runs away from the organization. Red won't have that though. He sends agents to bring him back. Zero ends up running into him, and together they stop the pursuers. But since Axel was at the center of all this chaos, he's looking sus as hell right now. So Zero arrests him. Once they make it back to HQ, Axel immediately shows interest in becoming a hunter. But X is so against it. Yeah, even though he retired, I guess he still hangs around the hunters. Then a transmission comes in from Red. Aware that Axel is with them, he challenges the hunters to a game. He'll release some of the Mavericks they caught, and they'll compete to see who can take them down. If they win, then Axel is theirs. X thinks this is stupid, and I see his point. They're about to get into another senseless fight all because Axel doesn't want to go back to his team. But if they let Axel go, the team will only continue to steal DNA data, so they have no choice but to fight. Regardless, X stays back because he's sick and tired of the violence, leaving Axel and Zero to take on the Mavericks and 8 agents of Red Alert.
Flame Hynard, Vanishing Gungaroo, Tornado Tonian, Ride Borsky, Splash Warfly, Snipe Anteater, Soldier Stone Kong, and Wind Krorang.
Flame Hynard was a Red Alert member who suffered from a malfunction that caused him constant pain. He thinks destroying the Maverick Hunters is the only way to fix himself. There's honestly nothing special about Vanishing Gungaroo, except for the fact that he likes fighting in his ride armor. Tornado Tonian is surprisingly aware of the Professor manipulating Red Alert, so he wants the Maverick Hunters to stop them. Ride Borsky is honestly just a hothead. Splash Warfly apparently hated Axel, so he was down for the violence. Snipe Anteater is an old Reploid who's good at mind games. Soldier Stone Kong just likes to fight, so that, along with his loyalty to Red, most likely made him jump at the chance to join this battle. And Win Krorang? Yeah, nothing interesting about him. He took control of a fleet of Air Force ships during this battle, if anyone cares about that. As Axel and Zero body Red Alert at their own game, X finally decides to join, cause doing nothing is way worse than going against his ideas. He still doesn't fuck with Axel though. Meanwhile, Red becomes aware that the professor is actually Sigma. He used Red Alert to fuck with the Hunters and take advantage of Axel's ability. His main goal is to use the Reploid to copy X's data. Red isn't down for this, and tries to cut ties with the Maverick, but he's too late. Sigma already took control of his friends. Now he either complies, or his team will never be turned back to normal. With that, the Red Alert base location is suddenly transmitted to Hunter HQ, so the Hunter trio rolls out to end this once and for all. Once they confront and beat Red, he sets the place to blow, and tells them to get out while they can. Axel begs for him to come with them, but he chooses to fall with his ship. Next up on the deletion block is Sigma. The trio gives him the business too, with Axel dealing the finishing blow. And it's in a surprisingly cool way. When it looked like Sigma knocked him out, he returned as Red to trick him. Then at the last minute, he shot the Maverick in the face. Good shit, bro. Almost makes up for that stupid ass voice. With that, the Hunters head home. Then we get one of 3 endings. In both X and Axel's ending, Axel tries shooting a shot with X again, begging him to accept him as a Hunter. But X is all like, "No, Axel. Fighting the obvious bad guys won't create peace. That's not what it takes to be a Hunter." Then Axel retorts with, "But I was following your lead. And look, we saved the day, together." But X, in one of his most dumbass responses, is like, "Yeah, but what I was doing was wrong." X, just say you hate the kid, bro. I promise you, you are the only person in the Hunters who takes this pacifist thing so seriously. I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm just saying it's kinda weird when you rejoin the Hunters to fight for good, but then you stop Axel from joining because he also wants to fight for good. In Zero's ending, he has this weird nightmare of X calling him Maverick and then shooting him with the charge shot. Maybe that fight he had with X affected him more than we thought. But with that, let's move on to the last game within this timeline, Mega Man X8. This title brought about a huge change to the series' art style. Tatsuya Yoshikawa, the game's artist, redesigned the Reploids to look a tad more futuristic. Their normal bulky limbs were slimmed down, and their armor was changed to look more polygonal. According to the official complete works, he thought about what everyone would look like as toys to help with this. And I mess with it heavy. I think everyone looks their best in this title. But where Yoshikawa really killed it was in the boss designs. He asked if he can go through with his own ideas and was approved. He said this felt like being a dog off a leash, and in the end, he couldn't decide which one was his favorite. He likes all of them equally. Inafune once again didn't add much here as he was afraid that he'd try to take over the whole project. And this game was also fully voiced, but it's good this time. Max Gartha, Lucas Gilbertson, and the GOAT Roger Rhodes fulfill the roles of X, Zero, and Val respectively. Since this came out before Maverick Hunter X, I'm assuming they got a feel for their characters in this game and then fully went off in that game. When it comes to the plot, this game takes place somewhere after the Red Alert incident. The Maverick Wars is still ongoing with no end in sight. So the humans initiate the Jacob Project to escape from the carnage. This project involves the construction of an orbital elevator named Jacob that'll take its passengers to the moon. The one leading all this is Lumine, the self-proclaimed leader of the new generation of Reploids. Yeah, whoever built Axel continued. Now we've already seen the advancement of Reploids throughout this timeline. So what really makes this new generation so special that we gotta add new generation at the beginning? Well, like Axel, these guys come with copy chips, but compared to Axel, these copy chips are busted. Axel normally has to use his copy shot to copy robots. However, these new gen Reploids come with the data of hundreds of Reploids pre-installed. This doesn't just allow them to copy others at will, but also makes them immune to viruses, since they can voluntarily change their DNA. Wait, I just thought about this. Someone is out there creating virus-immune robots that have the power to transform into a variety of old Reploids? Isn't that, I don't know, kinda sorta really fucking dangerous? What if one of them poses as Cygnus for the day and then gets mad at the Maverick Hunters to go Maverick? What then? Anyway, progress on the Jacob Project is going smoothly, but guess who fucks everything up this time? Vile! Yeah, the #1 certified hater is back. He kidnaps Lumine and commandeers the elevator, talking about beginning a new world. Then another Maverick uprising occurs. 8 new-gen Reploids start tearing up the city. Alright, last one. Let's make this count.
Bamboo Pandemonium, Optic Sunflower, Dark Mantis, Gravity Antonian, Earthrock Trilobite, Gigabolt Man o' War, Avalanche Yeti, and Burn Rooster.
Okay, so the first one is a doozy. Bamboo Pandemonium went Maverick after determining that the evolution of destructive creations, such as Reploids, meant that the world wanted to be destroyed for a new beginning. Bro, what? History said destroy, so you also said destroy? Optic Sunflower used to be in charge of a Maverick Hunter training ground. Dark Mantis was in charge of an underground military facility and refused to believe that he went Maverick. We'll soon find out that he indeed went Maverick. Yeah, I know, it's weird that all these new-gen Reploids went Maverick even though their whole thing is to not get viruses, but don't worry, it'll be explained soon. Gravity Antonian also dismissed the idea of being Maverick, saying it's the world that's evil. Earthrock Trilobite used to be in charge of mining. Gigabolt Man o' War used to provide energy to the city of Megalopolis. I've never heard of this place till this game, but apparently it's in Australia? Avalanche Yeti used to care about the world's environment, but now he's willing to destroy it just to please his master. And Burn Rooster used to be in charge of waste disposal. He also has my favorite design out of all the bosses. Pretty ironic when he's basically a glorified garbage man. With their mission set, Zero, X, and Axel, since I guess he and X are cool now, deploy. They also have the help of new Hunter navigators, Lair and Pallet. Lair helps with spotting enemy weaknesses, and she has a huge crush on Zero. So much so that she even knows his battle style. Pallet helps with guiding the hunters through each stage, and turning the metals they collect into various upgrade chips. She also fights like Axel. And this is probably a good time to mention that Aelia got hands too. She fights like X, with their very own Aelia Buster. Anyway, one by one the Maverick bosses catch the work. However, there is this odd conversation that X has with Aelia after the first boss fight. Take a listen.
X? What's the matter? The mission's only just begun.
That's right. It's begun again. How long must this war go on?
Just the thought of wiping the floor with those Mavericks makes my trigger finger itch.
Axel!
No, Aelia. Axel's right. There's no time to be wishy-washy here. Even as we speak, Mavericks are causing havoc.
X! What the fuck? You spent so much of the last game in your feelings talking about how violence isn't the answer. But now when Axel says some crazy shit like this, not only are you cool with it, but you agree? In what world does a pacifist hear, yeah, all these bad guys make my trigger finger itch, and think, yes, you're right, there's no time to be wishy-washy here. Granted, he is right, this is pretty serious, but this part still felt hella out of character for me. In my headcanon, Vile got our boy so shook that he started talking crazy. Either way, the Maverick bosses are defeated, and the team finds the dark truth behind all these new-gen Reploids going Maverick. Sigma's data is stored in their copy chips, so this is a lot worse than them just going Maverick. These guys are like clones of Sigma. He actually refers to them as his children. The Maverick commander then sends a transmission to Hunter HQ, and tells our heroes that he now has control of the Jacob Project. He and his followers have grown tired of this basic-ass planet, so he plans on using the project to usher in his new world and end the old one. So the Hunter trio rides up the elevator to space. After taking down a bunch of new-gen Reploids and Vile once and for all, they finally run into Sigma. And Homie's design looks fire here. Definitely my favorite look of him in the series. And after defeating him, they find Lumine, but it's revealed that for the first time, Sigma isn't the mastermind behind everything. Lumine is the one who used Sigma. With his data, this new generation of Reploids can go Maverick at will. So he wants to build a new world with these guys, but excludes Zero, X, and Axel because in his eyes, they are nothing but tools for the humans of the old world. His speech gets to X, but Axel's resolve snaps him out of it. With that, the Hunters engage Lumine in their final battle. And what's cool is that Lumine's final form is angelic to counter Sigma's demon form. It's a nice touch. Once defeated, Axel walks up to his body, but is attacked by some weird black tentacle thing. It knocks him out, but Zero and X quickly destroy what's left of Lumine afterward. On the way back home, X thinks about Lumine's words. If this is supposed to be evolution, then what are they doing? Should they be fighting this? Zero wonders if Sigma's defeat means this war is finally over. He also comforts X, letting him know that even if they are destined to become scrap, they must continue the fight against the Mavericks. Then in a post-credit scene, we see something shine within Axel's wound. It's definitely related to Lumine, but unfortunately we'll never find out what this is since there isn't an X9. We also find out that copy chip production stopped once Lumine's Maverick stunt became public, but production ended up resuming because society needs new-gen Reploids to help with space development. So y'all didn't learn anything from what just happened. Heard you. But folks, that brings an end to the very long Mega Man X timeline. As you guys know from that theory we talked about, the last scene is Zero sealing himself for the betterment of mankind and so the Maverick virus can be studied. But we're not done yet. There's still one more game we gotta cover. It's not canon to this timeline, but I mean, we've already covered pretty much all the X games, so might as well. With that, let's get into Mega Man X Command Mission. So you know how Mega Man X had some features inspired by RPGs? Well, that comes full circle with this game since it actually is an RPG. However, that's also the reason why Inafune had nothing to do with this title. He believed that Mega Man X belonged in the action genre. So when Capcom told him to make an RPG for the series, he said no and left it up to the others. The story takes place in 22XEX, the same time as the Mega Man Zero series. In the official complete works, Ryuji Higurashi, someone who worked on Command Mission, stated that this 22XEX should be seen as another possible future outside of the Zero series. So there's your proof for it not being canon. And big ups to Rockman HQ on Reddit for helping me out with all this info. If it wasn't for you, I'd still be banging my head on a wall. Vigorously. Anyway, the discovery of a new mineral dubbed Force Metal has revolutionized Reploid engineering. So a government organization simply named the Federation established Giga City, an artificial island for mining and researching Force Metal. But you know we can't have nice things. So soon after its establishment, a rebellion breaks out, led by some dude named Epsilon. They banish all humans and demand that the Federation recognize Giga City as an independent Reploid state. Not willing to stand for this, Colonel Redups from the Far East Maverick Hunter HQ sends X, Zero, and a hunter named Shadow to calm shit down. However, once they get there, Shadow betrays them, and X and Zero are separated. Later, our blue hero wakes up in a place called New Hope, where he finds out about a resistance force fighting against the rebellion. Their leader, Chief R, is being kept hostage in Central Tower X, so X head out to save him. Eventually he runs into the Reploid bounty hunter, Spider. He was originally sent to go after X, but he ends up switching sides and joining the resistance effort. Together they save Chief R, and from here, the real mission begins. X continues his work with the resistance to stop the rebellion. On the way, he recruits more like-minded Reploids to his cause, including old friends like Axel, who was looking into the origins of his creation before all this. Zero also ends up joining, even though he initially talked shit about X's squad.
He did.
But
He
sadly,
did. No,
Spider ends up dying while trying to save everyone during a mission.
I have to
On their
really
quest,
talk
they
about
also-
this. Zero talked so much shit about these people when he got a hold of them. Like when Zero caught up with them on all the people that like X recruited for this mission, Zero talked the most shit. I know this because I played it, and it was so annoying listening to Zero just be mad because we recruited like a thief, a bounty hunter, and like some other people, like a coward that used to be like not based on he was the not ancestor, but like what's the word? He's not an ancestor, but he's like taking up the mantle of a great hero. But he's like cowardly in a way. And it's just like Zero talks so like he downplayed how much shit Zero talked about these people. And it's rude as shit. Zero was rude as shit about this group of ragtag people that X pulled together to help with this mission. At this point, Zero was like not fair. So what do you expect this man supposed to do? Do this shit by himself? Like, bro. I had to say that because like truly that was like dumb. Like he was just so mad for no reason. All right, back to it. Back to work. Oh no.
Learn about an advanced version of Force Metal dubbed Supra Force Metal. The Rebellion is using it to create a warhead capable of driving all Reploids in the Northern Hemisphere, Maverick. The Resistance can't have that. But when they get to where it's supposed to be, it's gone. Eventually they get to Epsilon, who reveals that he has Super Force Metal in his body. However, they still manage to beat him. Colonel Redops congratulates them on a job well done, and instructs them to go to Central Tower to get picked up. But when they get there, the Colonel betrays them and kills Chief R. Redops is actually a new generation Reploid who can also copy appearances and abilities. At some point, he switched places with the real Spider and spied on X from the inside, hence why his name is Spider backwards. He's also the one who stole the Supra Force Metal warhead. His big plan is to collect all the Supra Force Metal and fuse with it to make his copy ability omnipotent. He used the Rebellion and the Hunters to do everything for him. As a final touch, he sends a broadcast to the world accusing X and the team of going Maverick and conspiring with Epsilon and the Rebellion. Pissed, X and his friends travel to the Far East Hunter HQ for one final battle. Once they take him out, the last of Epsilon's soldiers, Ferrum, self-destructs with the Supra Force Metal, so no one can use it for evil ever again. Afterward, Epsilon's Maverick status is posthumously dropped, since Redops was behind everything. And with that, X's last adventure comes to a close, thus putting an end to the Mega Man X timeline. Folks, we made it. We made it through another Mega Man timeline video. If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like, comment who else you would like to see me cover in Honest Gaming history. After this, I'm gonna take a mini break on the Mega Man mini-series. I say that because there is one Honest Gaming history I really want to do. It's a personal one for me, and I think the story is so crazy that you guys are gonna fuck with it heavy, bro.
Trying to see if he did a Battle Network one, because he did the Zero one. So the Zero series, yeah, he did not do a Battle Network one. I don't know if I'm subscribing to this guy, but we can listen to the Zero one because I'm getting stuff done and I'm like listening.
1987, Capcom blesses us with the first Mega Man, beginning a franchise that would become bigger than anyone expected.
Hey,
then in 1993, the team decided it was time for an extreme upgrade, giving us Mega Man X.
It's pretty chill.
However,
right?
once X5 came around, the leader of the team, Keiji Inafune, knew it was time to move on.
Now you know the story.
Capcom had other plans. Before he knew it, X6 was slapped on his desk, leading to the series never truly getting the ending it deserved. But a completely different team of ex-Capcom staff was ready and willing to produce their own spin-off. And surprisingly, they managed to cook up a glorious finale to this saga that started all the way back in 19XDX. Folks, welcome back to my mini-series covering the history and lore of every single Mega Man. We already went over classic Mega Man and X, but today we're diving into a series that isn't even focused on the Blue Hero. Join me as we enter what's left of a world plagued by countless years of war. A world where Reploids are executed whether they're innocent or not, and experience the story of the legend, who stands as the only thing stopping it from falling to oblivion. I am the Black Mastodonchi, and this is the devastating lore of Mega Man Zero. To talk about Mega Man Zero, we must begin with two vital visionaries, Takuya Aizu and Yoshihisa Suda. After working at Capcom for a couple of years, they pooled their money together with other creators from the company and formed their own studio, Inti Creates, in 1996.
Oh, really?
Aizu was the CEO, while Suda was the vice president. They had a bit of a rocky start, releasing games that didn't quite hit the way they wanted them to, but Suda's passion changed everything. Having previously worked on Mega Man X2 and Mega Man 7, Homie was a big fan of the Blue Bomber. He was actually the creator of the green biker dude who got bodied in X2. Now I see why so many people didn't like it when I called him useless in the last video. My bad, green biker dude. I commend you for trying to be X's partner even though you were nowhere near his level. Due to Suda's love for the Capcom series, he was itching to make a Mega Man title. In an interview recorded in Mega Man Zero, the official complete works, Aizu recalled that the guy used to hound Inafune about it. Now, something interesting I found while doing research was this interview of Aizu and Suda, originally done by US Gamer, but now on VG247. Here they elaborate a little more on what led to the birth of the team, but we're also given some conflicting information. For example, it says Aizu was a Mega Man superfan, and that he's the one who worked on X2 and Mega Man 7. So just to be safe, I'm gonna stick with the interviewed and then the official complete works, because, well, it's the official complete works. Not trying to call these guys out or anything, I just wanted to bring it up because I saw this article a lot while learning about the company. Anyway, after all those requests, Inafune finally hit the team up like, bro, y'all keep saying you want to make a Mega Man game, but have you ever thought of, oh, I don't know, sending a proposal? With that, they got to work on concepts. Their initial idea was a far cry away from what we know now as Mega Man Zero. In fact, it didn't even star the Red Warrior until Inafune said that's what he wanted. Homie probably saw this as the best chance to give his character all the shine he deserved. However, Inti Creates merely took their idea and swapped out the protagonist for Zero. In the official complete works, Aizu admitted that they were more focused on fleshing out this world that Suda imagined, rather than listening to Capcom. This led to incredible concept art from by far my favorite artist from this franchise, Toru Nakayama. But amazing as it was, they'd soon find out that they probably should have listened to at least some of Capcom's thoughts. During a Tokyo game show, the team pulled up to a room filled with a bunch of heavy hitters from the industry. They slid Nakayama's art to Inafune, but overall, the Mega Man producer felt the concept was a little too edgy. It needed to be done as a Mega Man game, and as dark as the series was at that point, it was still meant to be child-friendly. So Inti Creates continued with revisions. They made the armor for characters more pointy because that's what kids were into, and designs were simplified so the transformation to pixel art was easier. But outside of those initial critiques from Inafune and Capcom, they were given a decent amount of freedom when creating this title. So many later adjustments made for continuity purposes and the like were done because they wanted to make this game fit neatly within the Mega Man universe without any confusion. For example, since the X series continued after X5, a big priority throughout the whole process was altering Zero and X's appearance. They wanted them to look different enough so people didn't confuse them for their Mega Man X counterparts, but close enough so fans still knew they were X and Zero. Stuff like that is so dope because it just goes to show what can happen if you give a fan a shot at developing a game for a franchise they really care about. They took it upon themselves to make sure their story fit within the established timeline. Meanwhile, we have professionals forgetting the lore of their own game. Once 2002 came around, all their hard work paid off as Mega Man Zero was released as their most successful title yet. It was predominantly praised for its incredible sprite work and fantastic story. In the official complete works, the team talked about how thankful they were to Capcom for allowing them to truly take the wheel with this game. They also gave a ton of love to Nakayama, as it was his superb art that helped them to properly visualize their ideas and establish their world. Now, to avoid accidentally giving any spoilers to the overall plot, I'm gonna stop the development part here. Don't worry though, y'all know I'm a big ass nerd, so I'll still sprinkle in a bunch of interesting facts here and there throughout the video. But before we get into the lore, I want to say something. If you didn't already know, Mega Man Zero is a series that brought me into this franchise. I picked it up because the cover looked cool, but never beat it because that shit was hard as hell. Regardless, the title's aesthetic always
was not that hard.
No matter how many times bitch-ass Aztec Falcon bullied me, I couldn't help but return for another round. Which is why doing this video now, 2 decades from that time, feels so surreal. The cool thing about this series, Honest Gaming History, is that I get to visit games that I never got the chance to experience as a kid. However, I have a history with Mega Man Zero. So researching for this video was like going back in time and hanging out with young Donji. But now that I actually read and pay attention to the games I play, I have a whole new respect for this series. As of right now, the lore we're about to go into is not only my favorite within this Mega Man miniseries, but also my favorite in Honest Gaming History in general. And I am so grateful to you guys for giving me the chance to discover the gold within this series and geek the hell out about it. So without much further ado, let's continue this timeline and talk about how the Mega Man world gets even more tragic. So in case you missed the last 2 videos, here's a quick summary of the lore so far. Dr. Thomas Light was a genius who wanted to create robots capable of making their own decisions. He became famous, won mad awards, and changed the world with his advanced civil service robots. Wily, a robotic genius in his own right, was always thrown in his shadow, so he developed an obscene level of hatred for the guy, and turned into a supervillain bent on world domination. One of Light's most treasured inventions, Rock, would then ask to be altered into a robot capable of stopping the crazy doctor. Light does so against his better judgment, and thus, Mega Man is born. Then the classic timeline ensued, with most of it involving Mega Man and Light thwarting Wily's schemes. But years later, Light decided to go crazy on a whole new project, the robot with infinite potential, Mega Man X. He would be the first creation to fulfill Light's dream, as he could think for himself and make his own decisions. However, the doctor had to let him cook a while longer, because he couldn't just release him to the masses without some type of QC. Elsewhere, Wily finished Zero, his ultimate weapon, but the dude was born with the incessant need for smoke, so the doctor sealed him along with his other project, the Maverick virus. Unfortunately, both of these geniuses died before they saw their finished work. But according to this Q&A session that Capcom Unity had with Inafune, it looks like Wily might have actually put his essence in the virus. When asked what happened to him between classic Mega Man and X, he basically said that he died but was brought back by the virus. So take that how you will. Fast forward to 21XCX. Dr. Kane finds the remains of Light's lab. There he discovers X, and using him as a base, he develops advanced robots called Reploids. By the way, I made the mistake of calling both X and Zero Reploids in my last video. My bad, they're not. In a way though, you could kinda take X as the father of Reploids since they're all based on his design. Oh wait, that's kinda cool. Light went down in history as the father of robotics, and now X is kinda sorta the father of Reploids, so, you know, nice little connection there. Life with the Reploids is chill initially, but some start going haywire and hurting humans because Kane didn't do the same level of testing that Light did.
Have a good night.
The humans call these
Talk to you
robots
later, Jordy.
Mavericks.
Thank you for
and then
coming
established
by.
the Maverick Hunters to put a stop to them, with Kane's greatest creation, Sigma, as the leader. X joins them, and they begin arresting these guys until Zero wakes up and starts wrecking shit. Sigma goes to fight him, gets disrespected with a pipe, but still manages to win by the skin of his teeth. However, he catches the Maverick virus from the guy and slowly starts going evil. Meanwhile, Zero's renegade stat was already maxed out, so the virus brings that shit back to Zero and purifies him. Sigma then recruits a bunch of hunters and incites an anti-human rebellion, thus sparking the Maverick Wars and the Mega Man X series. As the final hope of the hunters, X and Zero fight against these Mavericks for at least a century. On one end, this is cool because they develop a strong partnership throughout their fights, even though their creators hated each other. Well, more like Wily hated Light. But mad humans and Reploids die because of this war, Zero questions what he's fighting for, ends up fighting X, and honestly, shit just keeps getting worse the longer it goes on. So after the Red Hunter realizes that he was the original carrier of the Maverick virus, and probably infected a plethora of Reploids from just going on missions, he decides to seal himself so the virus can be studied. Now, there are two main scientists responsible for this task. One is a mystery scientist we'll get into later, but the other is Dr. Weil. And before you ask, Weil and Wily are two different people. In that Capcom Unity interview I mentioned before, Inafune straight up said they're not the same person. Now, could this be a possible descendant? Sure, but first you have to ask yourself if there was a woman alive who would put up with this man, let alone have a baby with him. By studying the Maverick virus, the mystery scientist is able to create a cyber elf, which is essentially the physical manifestation of a sentient computer program. This one, which they named the Mother Elf, can return Mavericks to normalcy. So X uses her to finally put an end to the Maverick Wars. Then the study on cyber elves continues. However, Weil isn't down for this. He sees more potential in the Mother Elf, and thinks these Reploids should be punished for all the war and strife they caused. So he proposes Project El Paizo. Combine the Mother Elf with one Reploid so they can use it to control the minds of all Reploids. That way, none of them can harm humans ever again. The dude's pretty much trying to reverse Light's work. As you'd expect, some humans are down, but X is like, whoa, relax. Rightfully so, because for a lot of these Reploids, going Maverick wasn't even a choice. So the Blue Hunter puts a stop to the idea. But Weil? This crazy-ass psychopath Weil saw Wily and Sigma and was like, nah, y'all didn't have enough ambition. Then he corrupts the Mother Elf, turning it into the Dark Elf. Following that, he makes clones of it, dubbed the Baby Elves, and sends them across the world to incite quite possibly the most devastating event in this timeline, the Elf Wars. Reploids around the world begin fighting without reason. Shit gets so bad that Project El Paizo is approved, so Weil proceeds with making his almighty Reploid weapon, Omega. But X calls in the cavalry by waking up Zero. Together they manage to recapture the Dark Elf and defeat Omega. Now I see why people speak so highly of the Elf Wars. This shit sounds crazy, yet we still haven't gotten a game or anything focused on it yet? Capcom, y'all are leaving money on the table, come on fam! Hell, at this point, I'd be fine with an OVA covering it like Day of Sigma. At least the Archie Mega Man comic gave us a little tease in their 55th issue, and added Axel to the battle, which I thought was cool because he definitely would be there. The only reason he isn't mentioned in this part of the lore is because I don't think Axel was even a thought before the first Mega Man Zero was released.
Yeah, hold on,
the
wait,
Elf
what?
Wars retrospect ambition. Then he The only reason he isn't mentioned in this part of the lore is because I don't think Axel, because he definitely has a little tease in their 55th issue. like
Oh,
Day of
they sure
Sigma.
did. Wow,
At
that's a
least the
cool
Archie
design.
Mega Man comic gave us
I
a little
didn't
tease
see
in their
that.
55th issue and added Axel to the battle, which I
Wow.
thought was cool because he definitely would be there. The only reason he isn't mentioned in this part of the
I
lore
mean,
is because I
true.
don't think Axel was even a thought before the first Mega Man Zero.
Yeah,
was
the game
released.
didn't put
The L
Axel
Force
in it at
retrospect
all.
audio drama within the remastered tracks Rockman Zero Telos album also gives a top tier rendition of this event. Which reminds me, Inti Creates published these remastered track albums that
Yeah.
contain audio dramas
They're really
meant to
cool.
flesh out different parts of the lore. A lot of you ask, so to answer all your questions, yes, I listen to them, and yes, I will be adding their info to this
I
video.
have some of them too.
And one last thing. For those who know about the lore of Mega Man Zero, I'm aware I'm missing a key
I
detail
missed the
about
comic.
Omega's
I gotta read the
creation,
comic.
but I want to recapture that same shock we felt when we found out for all the newcomers to the story. So relax, don't come at me in the comments yet. Anyway, even though Zero and X managed to end the Elf Wars, the damage done is freaking insane. 60% of the human population, gone. 90% of the Reploid population, donezo. Nobody won this war, fam. Afterwards, Zero reseals himself because he's not trying to have history repeat itself, especially after that mess. X is sad to lose his best buddy, of course, but he's got a world to save. To fulfill his dream mentioned in that really depressing X5 ending, X establishes Neo Arcadia, a utopia where humans and Reploids can live together in peace. 8 Reploids are later assigned to assist X in judging any leftover Mavericks. They're named the 8 Gentle Judges. As for Weil, for starting the most catastrophic war in this timeline, his memories and knowledge are turned into data, and his body is replaced with a self-regenerating armor. Then he's sentenced to spend eternity banished from Neo Arcadia. Meanwhile, Omega is sent off to space. Okay, I see what they're doing here with the whole "that's too good for you" bit, but they'll soon find out that they would have been better off if they just killed him and Omega. As X continues his benevolent rule of Neo Arcadia, 4 special Reploids are designed from his DNA: Sage Harpuia, Hidden Phantom, Fighting Fefnir,
they're cool
and
as shit.
Fairy Leviathan.
They're
These
cool
guys
as
are
shit.
dubbed the Four Guardians, and they're assigned to protect
Cool
Neo
as shit.
Arcadia as well as help rebuild the outside world. Harpuia, the captain, leads a strong air squadron and is capable of controlling the weather in small areas. His name is derived from the ancient Greek word for harpy, harpia. In Greek mythology, these were beings that were half bird, half human. And in Yu-Gi-Oh, they're known for jumping poor, unaware duelists nonstop. His weapons are the Sonic Blades, 1 or 2 of the 10 shining weapons. These are special weapons that were given to some of the strongest hunters during the Maverick Wars. The X-Buster and Z-Saber, as well as the rest of the weapons used by the Guardians, fall under this category too. Though I don't believe it was used to its full potential, I like this little lore detail Inti Creates added. I think it's pretty cool that folks started passing down legends about these items. It makes this world feel more alive. Phantom runs Neo Arcadia's anti-resistance intelligence unit, the Cutting Shadow Squadron, and I don't think I need to explain where his name comes from. His loyalty to X knows no bounds, and he wields the Dark Cross. Fefnir is the Meathead member, who's always looking to fight someone. Every group needs one of these guys. His name comes from Fafnir, the great dragon from Norse mythology. He runs the Squadron of Fire and Ash, and uses the multiple launchers Sodom and Gomorrah. So when I first heard these names, I thought they were mad cool. But this is also a biblical reference. In the book of Genesis, Sodom and Gomorrah were 2 cities God destroyed because of their wickedness. This reference goes even deeper because of a later event, but hold on, we're getting to that. Lastly, Fairy Leviathan leads the Deep Sea Squadron. Her name comes from the sea monster of the same name from biblical stories and mythology. With her Frost Javelin, she's tasked with helping Harpuia make areas outside of Neo Arcadia habitable for humans. Now, according to the official Complete Works, these guys, or at least their weapons, weren't originally made for combat. They were initially the controls of the weather controlling station, Weather Orbit. They were also supposed to be all blue to reflect that they're practically X's children, but Nakayama designed them with different colors so they could visually represent their element. Harpuia was thunder, Leviathan was ice, Fefnir was fire, and Phantom didn't have an element. The team was originally met with resistance at this choice because normally, blue represented X and red represented Zero. But they decided to go through with the idea because color is very important when distinguishing characters, especially when we're talking about pixelated ones on a GBA screen. Neo Arcadia continues to prosper under X, but our boy soon realizes that the Dark Elf is still a problem. He brings it to Yggdrasil, the most secure area in the city. This is another Norse mythology reference, as Yggdrasil was the name given to the Tree of Life, which housed the 9 realms. X then seals the Dark Elf using his body. According to the now deleted timeline that was on the Rockman Zero collection website when it first launched, when X sealed the elf, the shock ripped his soul from his body and split it into 5 different cyber elves. 4 of them incorporated themselves into the 4 Guardians, while the other went off somewhere. Someone mentioned this in the comments of the last video, and at first I didn't think it made sense because the Guardians were made before the Dark Elf was sealed. However, it's still possible that these elves incorporated themselves into the Guardians while they were out and about. The Mega Man knowledge base also knows that each Guardian embodies a specific side of X. Harpuya, his strong sense of justice, Leviathan, his playful and determined side, Fafnir, his fighting spirit, and Phantom, his dedication to his cause. So maybe these strong emotions came from the Cyber Elves, or maybe they just came from X's DNA. Let me know what you think in the comments. With X gone, a young girl named Ciel quickly realizes that society will crumble without him. So at the age of like 9, she creates a so-called perfect copy of X. This part of the lore actually came about merely a month before the game's release. I'm not kidding. In the official complete works, the team said that the final boss was always a big topic of discussion with them and Capcom. One day they said, "Bro, wouldn't it be lit if X was the villain?" To that, Inafune was like, "Sure, why not?" But at the last minute, they thought it'd be kinda crazy to put this guy who all young Mega Man fans saw as a hero, as a villain. So they changed the main antagonist to a copy of X. That led to the idea of Ciel being his creator. But due to how young she is in Mega Man Zero, that would mean that she made him as a little kid. So they added more lore to make sense of that. Apparently, to aid in building a utopia for Reploids and humans, researchers were doing experiments on human DNA to produce advanced children. Ciel is one of those children, and her special skill is that she's a Reploid genius. I also remember reading that she's a descendant of the mystery scientist who created the Mother Elf, so it's possible that they used her DNA for Ciel. Copy X secretly takes up the leadership role of Neo Arcadia, with even the Guardians unaware of the switch. However, his rule is a lot stricter than X's. He has the original's inherent nature to protect humans, but he's lacking in his compassion stat, especially when it comes to Reploids. Then everything goes south when Neo Arcadia is faced with an energy crisis. Copy X declares that the Reploids are the problem. To conserve it for the humans, he begins deeming random ones maverick and killing them mercilessly. The Guardians carry on like this is regular shit, but the gentle judges peep that something is off. X was never this quick to execute anyone. Many Reploids run away into the wastelands outside of Neo Arcadia and form the Resistance, but Copy X don't like that. He puts his 4 Guardians in attack mode and sends them out to retire any Reploids who stand against him. During this time, Fafnir led something called Operation Scorched Earth, which is meant to destroy multiple Resistance settlements. And from what I read in the Mega Man knowledge base, it looks like one of the strategies in this operation involved carpet bombing to strike fear in their enemies. So now you know why that Sodom and Gomorrah reference hits even harder. Ciel, now a teenager, joins the Resistance as their only human. But she's not just leaving the false utopia to seek refuge. She's searching for the only robot who stands a chance of stopping her creation and saving Reploid kind. This brings us to the first game in this series, Mega Man Zero.
Yay!
So, how we feeling? Not gonna hold you, I always knew things got bad in the Mega Man Zero part of the timeline, but
Yeah,
I did not
this is
expect
terrible.
shit to get this bad. The Elf Wars alone were just awful, but now X is gone, no Reploid is safe, and the humans are just chilling, thinking everything is normal. To them, Copy X is the same old Master X who ended 2 wars. 2! They're not looking into the specifics of these trials, they just hear that a Reploid went maverick and they're like, well, if X said so, then it must be true. So yeah, don't get me wrong, the Mega Man X timeline is depressing as hell, but this timeline setup is on a whole other level. However, all this gains deeper meaning when you think about the science fiction writer Isaac Asimov's laws of robotics. These are rules that he made in the 1940s to create an ethics system for robots. They were a big deal because before this, robots were predominantly seen as metal monsters. His laws contradicted that belief and gave them more depth. The first states that a robot cannot injure a human being or through an action allow a human being to come to harm. That was referenced back in classic Mega Man when Lil Homie was trying to kill Wily, but the doctor knew he couldn't do that. In this case, it sort of explains why Copy X is acting the way he is. X, being more human than any Reploid out there, could have probably made a choice that was fair to both Reploids and humans to solve the energy crisis. But Copy X isn't on that level. The preservation of humans comes first, and an action is against his programming. He's still going a little overboard though, let's be real. The second law states that a robot must obey the orders of humans unless it conflicts with the first law. And the third states that a robot must protect its own existence, as long as doing so doesn't conflict with the second or first law. As the series goes on, I'd say these games show how these laws do more harm to the Reploids than good. and also give us a different impression of what going Maverick actually means. The timeline has attached this negative stigma to it, but what if going Maverick, for some Reploids at least, isn't a sign of a virus or a defect, but similar to what Lumine said in X8, a sign of evolution, a sign of a Reploid believing in something so much that they are willing to break the laws of robotics, and in turn, become more like their fleshy counterparts. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Where were we again? Oh yeah, Mega Man Zero. It's been 100 years since the Elf Wars ended. Ciel, her cyber elf Passy, a Reploid named Milan, and a bunch of other Resistance members are currently on the run from golems and pantheons from Neo Arcadia.
Okay.
Golems are mechanaloids that were built by the city to enforce peace, but now they're used to chase down Resistance members. Pantheons were originally built to help humans in Neo Arcadia, and as you can see, they were heavily based on X. They're also now being used to fight against the Resistance, but their bodies are pretty weak since they weren't made for combat. I also think it's interesting how all the different kinds of Pantheons are like base Pantheons, but with different colors or different armors and weapons. It's like it's meant to draw a parallel with how X got more powerful with his armor. Ciel and her party make it to the ruins of the Forgotten Laboratory, where they find the hero she was looking for, the Red Hunter himself, Zero. But he's still sleeping. The Neo-Arcadian army then closes in and takes out everyone but Ciel. With no options left, Passy sacrifices herself to wake up the warrior, and we're blessed with one of the coolest cutscenes in Mega Man history.
Shadow, but yeah.
Bam!
Damn it. Damn it, I was doing something.
This means something to me. I still get chills watching this scene. The music, the pan-up showing you the badass character you're about to be using for this whole adventure. The feeling of knowing you're the only thing stopping this girl from getting captured. Everything about this moment just hits. Sure, there aren't any animations or whatever, but Zero don't need that shit, bro. The aura emanating from my man is enough. Then as if homie couldn't get any cooler, he picks up Milan's regular-ass Resistance Buster and goes to town on everyone who was trying to chase Ciel and them down. Mind you, Zero woke up with no memories. Ciel was just like, Zero, please help me. And Zero was like, heard you. Maybe I'm giving this intro a little bit too much credit, but I don't know. I feel like the way Inti Creates set this up, veterans of the series could get hype because Zero's back and he's the main character this time, but newcomers like me could also get hype because of what led up to this and how fire Zero looks. Like, peep the way he cool guy stands. Look at how his hair flops in the wind as he's running. Inti Creates was investing in that cool factor and it paid off big time. Anyway, Zero makes light work of the army while traversing through the lab, but Ciel ends up leaving herself open in the perfect spot to get captured by a golem. Zero tries to save her, but that baby Resistance Buster can't do shit. Suddenly, a random cyber elf appears and is like, Zero, it's dangerous to go alone. Take this! And hands him his true weapon, the Z-Saber. With it, he bodies a golem and saves Ciel. She expresses that watching him do all that proves that he's a legendary Zero, but he still questions if he's the hero she's heard of. Regardless, since he has nowhere to go, he follows her to the Resistance base.
Kathy.
Here she explains the whole Neo-Arcadian energy crisis problem, but says that X is the one doing all this, not Copy X. Zero is confused by this, as X sounds familiar to him. Even though his memory might be hazy, deep down, he knows his best buddy would never do this. Either way, he agrees to help Ciel and the Resistance. Now, I'm not going to go into every single Resistance member, but here are a few important ones that I genuinely like. Servo was like your cyber blacksmith. Throughout the series, he gives you different weapons. In this game, along with the Buster and Z-Saber, Zero gets a shield boomerang and triple rod. Andrew is an older Reploid who's honestly just here to give good vibes. He tells you stories about his past, and in this game, he talks about the time when he fell in love with a human and went as far as to change his appearance so they could both look old together. That's a level of love I hope you all get to experience. Lastly, Alouette is a cyber elf caregiver who looks up to Ciel. The Resistance is overall mad nice though. Like, most of them do nothing but praise Zero and express gratitude for helping them out. You can really tell they needed someone like him. After getting acquainted with his new home, Ciel sends him on his first mission. Resistance members are about to be turned into scrap metal in a Neo-Arcadian disposal center. It's up to him to save them. The former hunter makes quick work of the enemies guarding the place. Then he runs into his first real wall, Aztec Falcon of the Strong Air Squadron. This guy is a special type of Reploid known as a Mutos Reploid. They're more advanced and built to protect Neo Arcadia. Their designs are based on both real and mythological creatures, and they look awesome as hell. I know I said it before and I'm sorry, but damn did Nakayama cook. These Mutos
Damn, did
Reploids
not
are some of the
carry that
dopest things to come from this franchise. Aztec Falcon is based on, well, the Falcon. But the Mega Man knowledge base also noted that he's inspired by the solar and war deity of sacrifice in Aztec religion, Huitzilopochtli. When you put them side by side, it's hard to deny the similarities. Along with that, in the official complete works, Aztec Falcon is described as a warden and executioner to all Reploids deemed Maverick. This could be a stretch, but that sacrifice part about the Aztec god kinda links up with this executioner bit. Anyway, Zero beats Aztec Falcon and then returns with the Resistance members. Afterwards, Ciel gives him a bunch more missions meant to either help the Resistance or sabotage Neo Arcadia. Of course, each mission ends with the boss. And don't worry, no roll call this time, but I'm still gonna go over each one. We can start with the Mechanaloids since they're not that important. The Pantheon Corps manages all the train routes for goods and military equipment going into Neo Arcadia, so Zero destroying it deals a heavy blow to Copy X. And Guard Optic is a mechanaloid that was sent to seize a resistance factory that held energy crystals. Now for the fun bosses. By the way, I may mispronounce a lot of these guys' name. I might have already mispronounced a lot of stuff, so sorry in advance. Sorry if I already mispronounced some things. There are a lot of biblical, mythological, a lot of crazy references in this shit, so yeah, they really test my pronouncing skills, not gonna hold you. Maha Ganesharith is another Mutos Reploid, and he's based on the Hindu elephant god Ganesha. He's described as being a walking, combat-ready data server, which I think is pretty freaking cool. He also belongs to Leviathan's Deep Sea Squadron. Anubis Necromancis III, based on the Egyptian god and guide to the underworld Anubis, works for Fafnir. Apparently, he's a product of an undamaged heart unit that regenerated itself using nanobots and declared itself the Third. Okay. Blizzak Stagroth, inspired by the White Stag, is another member of the Deep Sea Squadron. He enjoys dismantling Reploids under the guise of questioning them. Homie's like a screwed up Batman. The last four bosses are the four Guardians, who seem to enjoy fighting Zero. Well, everyone minus Phantom. When he meets and beats Fafnir, Homie just expresses how hyped he is to be fighting a strong Reploid. Leviathan starts out excited too, but gets mad at him when he shows mercy. And Harpuya starts off by scoffing at Zero for being the legend that he is, and still choosing to side with criminals. But after losing, the dude is deadass like, "Stay healthy until we next meet, and then I shall retire you." This reminds me of those enemies in anime who'd save the good guy but hit you with the whole, "Nobody can take you down but me." Those are famous last words for someone who's gonna become the homie later. Meanwhile, when you meet Phantom, he's like, "Legends of the past need to stay in the past." It's like everyone is hyped to face Uncle Zero, but they know saying that will get them in trouble. Then we have Phantom being a hater because his fake dad told him to. While going on these missions, Zero also collects elemental chips meant to enhance his abilities. Neo Arcadia also sends a big-ass mechanaloid named Hittite Hotade to try and blow up the resistance base. But Zero manages to destroy it before anyone gets, well, blown up. Once all the missions are complete, their base gets attacked again, but this time, they're forced to evacuate while Zero handles the aggressors. In the midst of all this, Ciel tells Zero the truth. She set everything off by creating Copy X, but before they can continue, Zero dispatches to fight more enemies, and a Mutos Reploid from Phantom Squad, Hanu Machine. He's based on the Hindu monkey god Hanu, and he was the award for my favorite boss design in this game. This wasn't a thing I planned on doing, but I just wrote it out, so I guess we're doing it. After defeating that guy, Zero tells Ciel that he'll take out this Copy X if it'll make her happy. They have a way to teleport right into Neo Arcadia's stronghold, but they need to hack into the place's security first. Fortunately for them, that Cyber Elf that gave Zero his Z-Saber appears, and he just so happened to accomplish exactly what they needed. Then he reveals himself to be the Cyber Elf of X by telling them to terminate the copy of him with extreme prejudice. So, one, if that whole soul split into 5 Cyber Elves thing is true, this would be the one that went off on its own. But 2, X telling these guys to exterminate his copy with extreme prejudice might just be the funniest thing he said in this timeline. Dude really said, "Screw all that compassion, homie's gotta go." With that, Zero heads straight into Neo Arcadia. He fights more bosses like the Strong Air Squadron's Herculeus Ancus, a Mutos Reploid based on the Herculean Beetle. He also goes through your typical boss rematches. However, when he beats Phantom, the guy blows himself up to try and stop Zero. Homie is dedicated. After all that, Zero finally reaches the dictator of Neo Arcadia. And tell me how he's like, "Ah, so you're the pirate copy of X." The fake then gloats about his accomplishments, talking about how he's running the utopia that X and Zero could never establish. But our boy hits him with the truth. Killing countless
WB,
innocent
man,
Reploids
thank
to
you.
save energy and
Let
calling
me see
that
what you
peace
said.
is insane.
What are you listening to?
This utopia he speaks
hold on.
of is just as much of a sham as
Oh
he
yes,
is.
what's up, babe?
Copy X laughs this.
My homie. So me and Veer have been. This is just the art, or is this cool? This is just art. I'm like gonna ink it and finish it, but like this is something I want to make into a print because it's kind of fun. It was kind of fun to just do real quick, and I've been imagining it so hard. Like not the battle axe part. The battle axe part is new, but I was thinking about, should I give him a Gatling arm? What should I do? What's cool about this? So I was like, should I do this? I also thought about like making a break apart version where he like breaks in half in a couple pieces, which we'll see. I can still do it. I can still like make a copy and do that, but like I don't know. But we're listening to me and Veer. We're talking about the story of Mega Man X, and we listened to that, and now we're listening to the story of Mega Man Zero, the next game in that whole like timeline. I thought he did a Battle Network one, but he hadn't done a Battle Network one yet. So that's what we're looking to, just like the storyline of Mega Man Zero. And I'm about to switch over to the Pokemon thing because this is the sketch is done here. Like I'm done sketching this. We'll come over to. I want to fix the mountains. As I say. What are you getting ready for that Amazon show? Are you talking about the Matsuri-Con show or some Amazon? I don't even know what Amazon show. Are you talking about the convention? And I need to draw too, but I'm gonna do these TikToks first. Get them TikToks first. Get them TikToks out. I gotta get some clips for mine. I haven't done mine in a minute. Yeah, it'd probably be for that show. I mean, it's just a print idea in general. Just something just to come, like, I'm trying to make stuff come out my head. Like, BMO, or like, I don't know, more animal stuff. Just shit in general. But yeah, I'm gonna work on the Pokemon PC next because I need to work on at least a couple things in that before I forget about it again, right? It's just inking and coloring anyway. So we're gonna bring that back up. It's gonna take a minute. It's on Amazon Prime. Oh, yeah. No, I've already watched it. It's only like you talk about the show. It's only a short, right? It's a short, but it's really good, and that is how we got started about talking about Mega Man, is because of that show. Yeah. It's just a response and a response to some reviews. Oh yeah, you can knock those out quick. You do full ass reviews. But yeah, no, we've already watched the show. That's how, because Veer was like, oh, the show makes me want to play the games. And then they asked me about the story of Mega Man X, which is the future. And we kind of caught a snag because I didn't know if humans existed in that time at all or no. But I guess they do exist, which terrible. I feel bad for those humans. I'm gonna watch it in 2028. I mean, it's it's like 15 minutes, you know, if you want to watch the Mega Man one, but like, you know how it be. I get how it is. I only know the blue one and the red one. Yeah. So X and Zero. There's only two. There's only really two important ones, is X and Zero. But once you get into like the story, this is the storyline of the games, right? So this one is the Game Boy game. I think I have a couple of them right here. So this was based on the Game Boy game that came out in like 2006 or something like that. And it's just that story, right? It's the story about the 4 Game Boy games that came out and what's going on there. Let me see here. Yeah. Let me go ahead and pop that back on.
Off, but all that chuckling stops after Zero whoops his ass. The former hunter tells him that even though he lost his memories, his body remembers that X was more real than he could ever hope to be. The copy then morphs into a second form out of anger, but Zero mops the floor with him again. This leads to a pretty somber ending since Copy X glitches out while wondering why this is all happening. He was supposed to be a perfect copy. a hero. And it's hard not to feel for the guy here. He thought he was doing everything right, and according to the laws of robotics, he was. But now he's getting killed for it because protecting the humans led to him harming his fellow mechanical beings. Either way, Copy X can't just let Zero have the win. So with his dying breath, he sets the place to blow. Our boy escapes just in the nick of time. Later, we find him laid out in the middle of a desert. Cyber Elf X appears and explains how hard things were after Zero sealed himself a century ago. However, the most difficult moment was when he realized—
Let me see what you're saying here. My watchability is weird. I can blow through Yu Yu Hakusho, but not watch a short. So it's all world stuff, but I thought it was other ones like Black One. You talk about in the shorts, in the Amazon short. So the Amazon short has multiple video game stories. It has multiple video game stories in it, but the only one I cared about was the Mega Man one. But I did watch the Sifu one, and I watched the Pac-Man one. I think Made by Star, you will like the Pac-Man one a lot because it's very horror based. It's a very horror based one, so you will like that. My thoughts. Okay, I'm like what? Yeah, you don't like that because because it is horror based, and it's like it's a little scary when you think about the implications of it, and I think that's how they designed it, which was pretty interesting. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I like that. Now, like lore wise, I know Mega Man wasn't it a black suited one? No. Yes and no. You're talking about one of his armors because he has different armor abilities. So there can be there is a black suit-ish one, but that's not his like iconic suit, if you will. There's a lot of different ones in that. That's based on the game. And yes, fun fact: Mappy and Pac-Man are my favorites from childhood. Mappy, you like Mappy? That's interesting. Didn't think you were a Mappy person. Never knew that about you. Along with Vector Man. The only episode I actually excited for is because of the direction. Oh, what episode are you? Which one is that one? Oh, right, and I watched the Armored Core one too. Oh, and Galaga. Oh, yeah, everybody likes Galaga. What am I looking for? Oh. Pac-Man! Waka Waka. I don't know why I said Waka Waka like that. Oh my goodness. Pack-em. Pack-em, which means flapping the mouth. Let me see here. Let me see here. Okay. I'm probably not gonna change too much, only because like my drawing of birds is terrible. I suck at drawing.
he no longer cared about fighting enemies. He asks his friend to let him rest and to please handle everything from here. Zero stands up and is basically like, "I've got you, best buddy. I won't stop till all my enemies are terminated." Then before him, he finds an army of Pantheons. He begins taking them on by himself. And with that, the first game comes to a close. So originally, the first Mega Man title was supposed to be it. Inti Creates didn't plan on doing a sequel until the end portion of production. They feel like they created some memorable characters in this game, and it would be a shame to end all their stories just like that. And I'm sure I speak for the majority of the fanbase when I say I'm happy they continued. However, before we get into the lore of Mega Man Zero 2,
right.
I've got to introduce you to a special Reploid from the Neo Arcadia City Administration Bureau. He doesn't have a name yet, but his serial number is TK31. In the Clockwork Apple and Irregular Reploid audio dramas from the Telos Remastered Tracks album, he explains who he is and his relevance to the story. Sometime between the beginning of the energy crisis and the start of Zero 2, he takes part in an investigation led by Harpuya of a submerged library. Before they go, the Guardian makes it clear to report anything they find to their hunter leader. Once TK-31 enters, he's drawn to ancient records detailing the tragic events of the Elf Wars. He describes the knowledge as forbidden fruit, referencing the story of Adam and Eve. Harpuya shows up like, "Hey bro, the hell did I just say about reporting to your lead hunter? Now you done went and saw some shit you weren't supposed to." With that, he tells the Reploid to forget everything he saw. TK-31 obeys, and for some time, he believes that he can put this all behind him, but everything changes in as little as a week. Another Reploid who goes by HE-22 starts talking about how sus it is that more Reploids are being judged as Maverick. Then he mentions that the sunken library they investigated was blown up, and Reploids from that team, his friends, have gone missing. TK-31 is like, you're talking kinda crazy right now. Might wanna relax before I'm forced to call the cops. But as if on cue, Harpuya busts in with a small group of hunters and accuses TK-31 of going Maverick. Homies shook, but they're interrupted by an explosion caused by a resistance attack. Now, I'm assuming this attack happened between Zero 1 and Zero 2. Originally, I thought it could have been when Zero infiltrated Neo Arcadia, but from what I understand, he went in there by himself. Plus, if Zero was involved in an attack against the city, with how infamous he's become, I'm pretty sure they'd make that clear in their warning message. HE-22 and TK-31 use a distraction to escape. HE-22 then reveals that he's part of the Resistance. They've been looking for TK-31 since he knows about the records in the sunken library. Now they need to get the hell out of here and regroup with his comrades. TK-31, with newfound resolve, agrees to help the Resistance, but he insists that they go to Area 7 first. That's where one of the baby elves made from the Dark Elf is being kept. With it, he'll gain enough power to stop Neo Arcadia. He then declares himself the savior of all Reploids, and takes on the new name, El Paizo. And the audio drama is Elpis, since the product's name in the Japanese version is Project Elpis. Now we can get into Mega Man Zero 2. The game takes place a whole year after the first title. Zero's been traveling on his own in search of Ciel and the Resistance, but he's only been met with more and more soldiers from Neo Arcadia. My man's been fighting for a year straight. He's forced to face off against another wave of enemies until he finally collapses from exhaustion. There he's found by Harpuya and Aztec Falcon. I'm assuming this is the same one you beat in Zero 1, but I could be wrong. Surprisingly, the Green Reploid doesn't kill Uncle Zero. Instead, he brings him back to the Resistance. Oh yeah, and I'm sure you're wondering what Neo Arcadia is up to now that Copy X is dead. Well, the Guardians decided to cover the whole thing up, to not scare the humans. This is gonna backfire like crazy later, but I kinda see why they did this. Harpuya, since he was pretty much the leader of the Guardians, currently runs Neo Arcadia. When it comes to the Resistance, a lot has changed. Ciel has devoted her time to creating her own energy system to solve the crisis. So now the new leader is El Paizo, the same dude from the audio drama. Ciel mentions that they met when he helped them escape Neo Arcadia in the past. So I'm assuming she's referencing the attack that HE-22 and El Paizo used to escape. The new leader also came with a gift, one of the two remaining baby elves. Alouette names it Kreia, but its Japanese name is Cree, which is the French verb for to create. Add that to the imaginary biblical reference counter I never established. Now, this whole change in the Resistance hierarchy sounds nice on paper, but here's the thing. El Paizo and Ciel do not feel the same way about how they should deal with Neo Arcadia. El Paizo has this plan he calls Operation Righteous Strike, which involves him leading a frontal assault on Neo Arcadia, freeing the arrested Reploids who are wrongfully accused of going Maverick. Ciel, on the other hand, wants to focus on this energy system, because if they fix the problem that started all this, Neo Arcadia could actually become the utopia they all want. El Paizo's not trying to hear all that peaceful shit though. He straight up asks Ciel if he can carry out his plan. She reluctantly gives him the okay, but only if he promises one thing. But before they can continue, a Resistance member lets them know that someone left Zero outside. Once he's repaired, he meets El Paizo. The new leader greets him with his hand out and asks him to aid in his mission. Zero pauses and thinks, this dude wants to fight Neo Arcadia head on? Oh, nah, homie's crazy. Then he ignores the handshake and tells him that what he's doing is gonna be tough. El Paizo's like, so, what's your plan? But Zero didn't think that far ahead, so El Paizo just kinda laughs it off. Afterward, he meets up with Ciel to catch up with her and learn about the baby elf they're keeping here. Then once Servo gives him his shield boomerang and new chain rod, he runs into El Paizo talking more about his plan to the Resistance. Zero's like, attacking Neo Arcadia head-on is next level stupid. You're basically asking us to retire ourselves. What we should do is conduct small operations to bide our time until Ciel finishes her energy thingy. El Paizo was down for this, and thus, the first 4 missions are presented to Zero. The bosses for each one are Mutos Reploids just like in the last game. First is High-Leg Orabokle. He used to be a part of Phantom Squad and he's based on the Ouroboros, the symbol of the serpent eating its own tail. After Zero beats him, he finds the second baby elf, whom Alouette names Preya. In Japanese, it's Prie, which is the French verb for to pray. Also, in the Alouette's Diary audio drama, Azul Luna and Rojo Sol were considered as well. This was a reference to the 4th Mega Man Battle Network titles, Blue Moon and Red Sun. They came out the same year as Zero 2. Anyway, after finding Preya,
cool.
Zero is also met by Cyber Elf X. He warns him about the baby elves, telling him that they'll do anything to return to their mother, even drive someone mad. Yeah, that can't be good. The next boss is Polar Camrus, who's part of Leviathan Squad. She's based on the polar bear, however her last name may be another mythological reference. In Ainu mythology, Kamui are divine and spiritual beings. Kamui, Camrus. Couple that with the fact that bears are very prominent figures in Ainu mythology, and the reference makes even more sense. Phoenix Magnian used to work for Phantom, but now works under Fafnir. He's of course based on the Phoenix. And lastly is Panther Flawclaws. He's from the Strong Air Squadron and is based on the Black Panther. But the last section of his name is a possible reference to something that goes way deeper than I imagined. So there's a 17th century grimoire, yes grimoire, called The Lesser Key of Solomon. It contains material about magic and sorcery written by multiple anonymous authors. Now there's a book within it called the Ars Goetia, which goes into detail on a bunch of different demons. One of them, Floros, was a great Duke of Hell who was commonly represented as a humanoid leopard with big claws. Flaw claws, Floros. And the big claw thing, bro, Inti Crate did not have to cook so hard with these references. I didn't think researching a fictional story about robots would lead me to a real-life book about magic. I didn't even know the Lesser Key of Solomon was a thing until now. And they said video games can't teach you shit. Also, now's a good time to say that homie over here wins best boss design for this title. Dude had no reason looking this cool. And screw it, let's make a little game out of it. In the comments below, let me know your favorite boss designs for each game. Maybe I'll tally it up and we can make like a definitive tier list or something, I don't know. Anyway, after completing these missions, El Paizo informs the Resistance that they are now ready to commence Operation Righteous Strike. CL comes to remind him that this plan is unnecessarily violent and can easily go south. Plus, her energy system is nearing completion. They just need to be patient. But in a sudden outburst, El Paizo's like, "Listen here, you uppity little..." Listen, CL. What if Neo Arcadia takes your precious energy system for themselves and continues their oppression? Do you really think this will fix everything? I mean, the guy has a point, but that doesn't mean you should risk the lives of all these Reploids for a dumbass frontal assault. Like, I feel like the main flaw in this plan is not the attacking Neo Arcadia part, but doing it head-on part. But them baby elves, bro, messing with his head. After straight up ignoring CL's pleas, he leaves to lead the Resistance at the front lines. Zero is asked to follow him, but when he enters the battlefield, he's met with a horrific sight. Countless Resistance soldiers are dead. At the end of the battlefield, he finds the remaining 3 Guardians along with El Paizo's unconscious body. Fafnir and Leviathan start talking shit, but Harpuya silences them and basically tells Zero that there's no point in saving El Paizo. He won't thank him or stop his plans. He'll only put more Reploids in danger with his actions. But Zero believes that he can stop the crazed leader and keep the Resistance safe. Harpuya calls his resolve selfish, but before they can continue, Zero gets a call from base telling him that a bombardment aircraft is on the way to them. They need him back now. Since Fafnir and Leviathan are still salty about getting their asses handed to them in the last game, they poke fun at the fact that our boy's friends are in danger of dying. However, Fafnir says something about how sending bombs is not really his thing. If the Mega Man knowledge base is right about that whole carpet bombing strategy he implemented back in the day, then homie straight up lied here, but that's besides the point. Zero teleports back to base with El Paizo. Then once they're gone, Harpuya says that he doesn't think that destroying the Resistance is justice.
You mean today
However,
or
if
in
they choose
life?
to rebel against human society, they must be eliminated.
I've been streaming.
This is a pivotal moment for the Green Guardian because he's aware that what they're doing may not be for the better good.
I've been
But
streaming
due to
for
the
a
laws
lot.
of
Like, I
robotics,
streamed on
he can't just sit idly by while the
YouTube.
Resistance is willing to do things
A
that
lot of
could
it,
harm
right.
humans. Technically, you can say that this is the first sign of him going Maverick. Back at the Resistance base,
I'm trying to think. So I have been streaming like this, like with this whole setup, since like 2019, I want to say 2020, 2019. Since I moved into my apartment. but I have been like on and off streaming since like God 2011. Since affiliate, it's been like 3 years. I think I feel like it's been 3 years. I don't know how long like affiliate has been like I've had affiliate, but it's been like this for I think about 3 years. I want to say about 3 years. I've been in and out with streaming or whatever, but I'm more consistent since I've been affiliate. Uh, you don't mind a backstory? Yeah. No, I've been streaming on like Facebook. Like I did a Facebook stream. I have streams from like way back in like 2016. It's almost I want to say it's been 10 years since I've been streaming. But since I've been affiliate, I want to say about three. I want to say about three when I really started taking streaming to like a different level and kind of just focusing on like content stuff. I think I've been really like in it as far as content creation for the last 2 years. I want to say nothing crazy, nothing like super official, but still just having fun and just doing stuff I genuinely just like just drawing. You know what I'm saying? I was drawing on Facebook long before that, and I was doing YouTube videos long before that. I was doing YouTube videos back when I stayed in Michigan. I never like had a thought process to them though. Like I've never like put them out and like try to like make them good, right? I put them out because I had fun with my friends, and I thought that like doing YouTube would be a fun thing to do as a job eventually, but nobody told me about the arduous climb that is doing YouTube, right? So I never really took it fully serious, you know. I still don't, but I like having fun. I have fun putting out the videos that I put out. So yeah. So affiliate about 3 years. I want to say about 3 years affiliate. I could not tell you, to be honest, because I don't remember. I know that for a good year, I got like a random $50 every like 3 months. And I was like, wow, streaming's cool. I get $50 extra in my check because it comes on a Friday, which oddly enough, it does that. But like, I used to get like $50 extra in my check every month. And I was like, cool. I'm making some money off of streaming. And I just like doing it. But that was when I was streaming like almost daily, right? I would stream like 3 times a week, and then Saturday and Sunday, and then also having a full-time job, you know, and going to the gym and doing other shit, you know. Tuesdays and Thursdays was my gym days. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and sometimes on the weekends was my gym days, and then Monday, Wednesday, and Friday were my stream days, and that's what I would do for like a good year. And here we are. Here we are. Not at the top, but like we're pretty up there. But I wish I knew or had a better strategy like I did. If I had the drive that I did then and like a better strategy like I do now, I think I would definitely have been up to like higher than where I'm at, right? But that's the thing about like content creation. You learn as you go. Because nobody has a book on how to actually make it, right? There's no book on how to be a content creator. There's no, as far as I know, there's no book. But all it really is just, for me now, all it really is just like putting out things that you care about. And I don't know why my thing is glitching like that. Putting out things that you care about. And just doing a lot of it. Because if you do a lot of it, eventually somebody will see something you did, right? Somebody will see something you did eventually, right? And you have this backlog of things that you've been putting out for X amount of years. So now people can go back and see that journey. It's like a diary, right? Somebody comes in at this page of a book and you're like, wow, this page is great. Or like a comic book, like this chapter is great. I wonder what happened in these back chapters of a comic book. That's, I think, a better way to put it, of a comic book, right? You came in at chapter 12 of Spider-Man, but then the story's so good, you want to go back and read chapters 1 through 12. You know what I'm saying? But they still put out comic books, right? They still been putting out comic books for months, but you didn't know until issue 12 that it was good, right? So that's how I see it. Oh my goodness. Got me started on the how to kind of get good at I don't know, content creation. Now all I gotta do is make a video on how to draw, and then everybody be set. Let's see what you're saying. If you were to give a beginner advice about art, what would be the first thing? Oh, okay, hold on. I got full screen for this one. Appreciate the question. Appreciate the question, because that's some kind of... If I were to give a beginner advice on doing art, the first thing I would say, because people used to tell me, when I was young, people used to tell me, what is it? Just draw what you see, you know, draw everything, right? But that's not, I didn't think that was very advantageous. I think I hated that, but I understand I understand what they meant now, but when I first was starting, that didn't help me at all. So I would say, depending on what you want to do, like if you want to draw characters, draw characters. Draw characters from your favorite shit. Draw Bugs Bunny 50 times. Don't draw him once, right? Don't draw Bugs Bunny once. Draw Bugs Bunny 7 times, 7 different poses, and do that every day, right? If it's not Bugs Bunny, draw Daffy Duck. Draw a Goku. You know, you keep drawing those characters, because the more you draw those characters, the better you get at drawing, I feel like. Like a lot of people that do comic book stuff have drawn Spider-Man, have drawn Thor, have drawn all these comic book heroes constantly. They draw them all the time. So I would say start off with drawing your favorite characters, right? If you're into character stuff like that, right? If you want to do your own original things, I would say gesture drawing. Gesture drawing from a website. There's so many gesture drawing websites. I've been to gesture drawing like classes for like 3 hours. I've done a lot of different stuff like that. So I would say gesture drawing if you want to do your own original stuff, because anatomy is hard. And if you don't start now, Godspeed. I would say learn to do anatomy. Learn to do anatomy good, and stop hiding hands. Stop hiding hiding hands is like the epitome of shit that people do as far as artists. So I think that'll be those 3 things. Stop hiding hands, draw a character a lot, a character you love a lot, and focus on anatomy and gesture. Those will take you so far in the art world, I think. Shape language, there's a lot, but like if you want to get started, do those things. Yeah, and then you'll like fall into the rest of the stuff. To be honest, you will fall into like color and things like color theory and stuff like that. You'll just fall into the rest of the stuff. Like clockwork. It always happens. So thank you for the question. I know I was talking for like a minute, and I ran out of water. And I'm talking because I'm talking for a minute. Like, think about, because I want to also expound upon that a little bit. Think about the fact that I'm drawing Pokemon, right? Like, and I know this, right? I'm drawing Pidgey, right? And you're like, okay, where are you going with this? And I'm pretty sure you'll know where I'm going with this. A lot of people will know where I'm going with this. Pidgey's a bird. Pidgey's just a bird. So draw birds. Like, look up pictures of birds on Google and just start drawing birds. I swear that would help you draw Pidgey so much better. So much better. But that's just Pidgey, right? I don't know. I'm trying to think of a different Pokemon. What's another one here? There's so many Pokemon. Machamp is just a person. You know? Staryu is drawing stars. Like, draw animals. Draw an armpit. You know? That's what I would say. I would tell them to be like, hey, if you want to draw stuff, draw things that you give a shit about. Like, yes, do the anatomy stuff, right? Do the anatomy stuff, do the boring stuff, do the, like, learn gestures and circles and all that jazz. But also have fun with it and draw the shit that you like. Because if you ain't drawing it, nobody else will. Damn, that was a long-winded answer. Sorry about that. That was a long-winded answer.
Base, Zero and Ciel manage to defuse Neo Arcadia's bomb. Then Zero faces Kuagust Ankus, the brother of Herculeus Ankus from the first game. He's based on the stag beetle, known as the Kuwagata in Japan. After Zero beats him, he shows regret for not being able to avenge his brother. Afterwards, Zero returns to base, but El Paizo and the baby elves are nowhere to be found. He left a message apologizing for his failed plan, but stated that the only reason why it failed is because he didn't have enough power. So now he's gonna get that power to destroy Neo Arcadia and all the humans in order to free Reploid kind for good. Homie apologized for his shitty plan, and then proceeded to go through with an even shittier one. That's crazy. That's crazy. The Resistance operators managed to grab the locations that El Paizo teleported to, so Zero rushes off to pursue him. In the Forest of Notice, he finds a former Resistance leader with the Baby Elves. He says that he now knows what he needs to become all-powerful. And Zero, remembering what Cyber Elf X told him before, correctly guesses that he's talking about the Dark Elf. The guy then leaves, stating that the key needed to unlock it is in this area. Zero chases after him, but the Mutos Reploid Burble Hecalod stops him right after letting El Paizo pass him. This guy is based on the frog-headed Egyptian goddess of fertility, Hecate. He used to be a part of Phantom's team, but he was transferred to the Strong Air Squadron. After defeating him, Zero finds El Paizo holding Cyber Elf X hostage. The lunatic says he is one step closer to becoming stronger than the Red Hero, then dips. X warns Zero that he needs to hurry his ass up. If El Paizo gets to the Dark Elf, it's clipped. So Zero continues his chase. He runs into Leviathan, who lets El Paizo escape just so they can fight, or as she calls it, play. After he wins, she says that his strength drives her crazy. Then something similar happens with Harpooya. The Guardian appears right after El Paizo manages to evade Zero's grasp again. He says that he got the IFF beacon, and wonders why he's moving on his own, but he ends up shrugging off the thought to fight Zero. But after our boy beats him, the loss fills Harpooya with more joy than anything else. Homie's like,
yes, I love that you're still this strong. Only you can make me feel this alive, Zero.
Then when he runs into Fafnir, the guy admits that he was chasing after El Paizo originally, but he's more hyped that he gets to face Unk again. After he loses, he tells Zero that he had fun. He even hits him with the "see ya" afterward. What? Bro, it's like, since Phantom is gone, all the other Guardians feel freer to express how lit it is to hang out with Uncle Zero. Just going off their dialogue, it genuinely feels like they'd be super depressed if Zero ever died. But that's just me. Let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments. To be real, I think it's kind of adorable. Anyway, once Zero returns to base after failing to capture El Paizo, the former commander hits them up like,
what's good, Resistance? I'm coming to you live within Yggdrasil, the most secure area in Neo Arcadia. And the place where X sealed the Dark Elf.
With that, he removes his...
Let me see. All good. That means a lot. I am glad to know that. For me, as indeterminate... Oh, get them out of here. Get them out of here. Oh, no. Come on. Come on. Where is it at? Get that ban. Thank you. Okay, so what was we looking at? All good, dude, means a lot. I'm glad to know that. For me, as indeterminate, going to pro soon, some of these questions I asked, I want to expel the mind. Expel the mind? and see what they will say to ask the question. So stuff like that helps me know what I should say, or others who say when I ask this. But in this case, that was a fabulous answer. So thank you. Pretty inspiring. Yeah, I it's funny you say that. I listen to a lot of like, because I spend a lot of time on YouTube. If you don't know that, I spend a lot of time on YouTube. So a lot of people kind of have a similar like mindset of that, right? It's just like when you're a pro, you should do this or you should do that or this. But it really depends on what you want to do in the end. If you want a job, or if you're trying to do comic books, or if you're trying to do, there's a lot of different things. I try to do everything. And that's always fun for me, is to do everything. But if you want to be good at everything, you have to know specific stuff first, right? You have to know specific stuff first, then get good at those things. And then just find your like cause, your reason. I don't know. It's really hard. I don't think anybody has the right answer. They just have an answer. You know what I mean? Everybody has an answer. Never the right answer. Or the direct answer. Just how they feel. Like me doing the streaming stuff is really just like, feels like my niche. My place, if you will. But never says like that's it. Yep, totally get that. Yeah, see? I'm glad that it makes sense, at least, because I'm like, I don't know if I make sense, but it feels right. I like doing a lot of stuff.
The seal, but something goes wrong. Cyber Elf X then tells Zero that he's trying his best to hold the Dark Elf back, but he needs to go and stop this psychopath. So Zero heads back to Neo Arcadia for his final mission. He goes through the traditional gauntlet, which includes fights against Leviathan and Fafnir.
If you ever want like a peripheral to draw with, I swear by this thing. I got it for Christmas. This thing, I got it for Christmas. It's dope as shit. Like, I've been using it to do like mouse things. Like, I use it for my iPad, but I've been using it here to do like stuff I can't do with my key, because my keyboard is far away from me, right? I've been using this little mini gamepad thing to do like move my shit and stuff like that. And I love this thing. Keyboard shortcuts are a thing of the past with this. I promise you. You'll have so much more freedom.
In their second forms. When he gets to the Temple of Wind, he finds
like
Elpaizo, the baby elves,
I'm telling
and
you
a
guys this
half-awoken
before
dark
they
elf.
make it expensive.
Harpooya is there too, but
it's
Elpaizo is in the process of controlling his mind. The Guardian is doing his best to resist. This is a wild turn of events when you remember that Harpooya was in charge of the mission that led to Elpaizo turning into this mess. Out of frustration, he uses the baby elves to take full control, then leaves so he can destroy X's body and fully release a dark elf. Harpooya asks our hero to kill him, but Zero manages to take him down without doing all that. He proceeds to face Elpaizo, but the guy paralyzes him. With nothing stopping him, he destroys X's body. Then he fuses with Kreia, Preya, and their mother. Zero is forced to face his new form, and somehow he gets the W. Afterward, Elpaizo apologizes for everything he's done.
Oh yeah, totally.
He says that he was weak-minded and pathetic, and that it's hard to accept failures. But this one feels like it made him stronger. The Dark Elf then changes color, which scares the baby elves away.
Okay.
She turns Elpaizo into a cyber elf.
Okay, can I tell you something? I've seen that same cube. I know exactly that toy cube, whatever it's called. It's cool. It's really cool, right? But like, it's $200 or something like that, or $500, depending on which one you get. And that's a lot. That's a lot of money. And so I usually use keyboard shortcuts when I'm drawing, because I'm using like the Cintiq. If you want to see it, I can like tilt down, but I'm using the Cintiq. But also, this little thing is $20, and literally I have it set to do my like if you look at the screen, look at my like, if you can see it, like see the brush size. I have it set to do the brush size, so it makes it bigger or smaller. You know what I'm saying? I set it to do that. I set it to undo for the up button. It's undo. I set it for the hand, so a space bar, so I can move around and do that. This is brush, and this is ink. I set this to copy, that to paste. I set these so I can go up and down on my layers, and I set these to do other stuff. But like legitimately, it's so good. Right? Yeah, right. It's so good. $20. This thing is so good. I swear to you, if you don't get this now for just the art reasons, get it for something else. You can program it to like mostly anything as long as you can connect. I'm connected to my PC, but you can connect it to your phone and your iPad. Mind you, not sponsored. Not sponsored at all. Just something I found from somebody else. Not sponsored at all. It's $20. It's called the 8-bit Do, and this is the micro. They come in 2 colors. Blue and green. That's so simple, right? I watched some dude use his for his iPad, and because I have a new PC, I was like, it's Bluetooth. I wonder if I can connect this, and I can use it on my computer too. So I'm like, boy, this is a game changer. It's the size of my palm. It comes with a little wrist strap. It's the size of my palm. It's not cumbersome or huge like a regular controller. It's just like a tiny thing you just use in your hand. So nice. So nice. Okay. I've been using it I want to do like a review because I've been using this since Christmas. So it's been about 5 days, 6 days. So it's been about a week with it. And at first I was skeptical of how much I use it, but now it feels second nature, right? So I want to do like a little review about it. But I feel like I need to use it a little more. Like maybe a month in. I'll do like a full like breakdown, or unless somebody be like, please tell me what your full thoughts on it. Because I can also, it has a switch at the bottom of it, so you can use it on your Switch. You can use it as a keyboard. I don't know what D means, but you can use it for like multiple stuff. So it's insane. It's insane. And then they're trying to sell that box for like $50 where you have knobs and shit, and it's like on your desk, and you can't like take it with you. This, I'm just like, all right, I take it with me. It's mine. I put it in a backpack, tiny as shit.
And they both leave. Cyber Elf X appears and tells
People are
Zero
crazy.
about the Dark Elf's past, how she was once the Mother Elf but became corrupted. Zero feels like he knows her, which could be a reference to the fact that she came from studying the Maverick virus within him. Then the title comes to a close, but after the credits roll, we hear a mysterious voice say that now that the Dark Elf is awake, it's time for Omega to take action. Yup, if you thought things were bad now, you ain't seen nothing yet. While the same one who started the Elf Wars is returning. He's not too happy about how Neo Arcadia banished his
Also
ass.
true.
To
Yeah.
find out how he screws with the world
over
even
$70
more,
or
we
$20.
move to the next chapter.
So much better. I got it off of Amazon. Amazon is the GOAT for that one. Didn't know they would have that.
Quick fun fact before we get into Zero 3. When Zero 2 was being made, it was already decided that Zero 3 was happening. So the focus of Zero 2 was to build up to this game. Because of this, Aizu felt like El Paizo wasn't as memorable as he could have been. Personally though, I think El Paizo was an amazing antagonist. His backstory and reasoning for doing this made him one of the most interesting characters in this universe, if I'm being real. Cause even now, though I know he was wildin', I still feel for him because at least his heart was in the right place, you know? But moving on, let's get into Zero 3. It's been 2 months since the El Paizo incident. Ciel has finished her energy research and calls her new system the Ciel system. She tried contacting Neo Arcadia about it, but they never got back to her. Now she's accompanied by Zero and some resistance soldiers to investigate a large spaceship that's emitting signatures similar to the Dark Elf. Unfortunately, Neo Arcadia got to it before they did, so Zero pushes forward to clear out any enemies in their way. Once he gets to the entrance of the ship, he hears Ciel getting attacked by Pantheons, but Harpooya pulls up and tells him that it's all good. They're not trying to harm them. In fact, he's willing to let them go as long as they get the hell out of here now. But after he leaves, a roar from within the ship captures the attention of Zero. He proceeds to find Fafnir and Leviathan getting bodied by Omega. The two Guardians bounce, saying that they'll get their rematches from both Zero and Omega later. Then the Red Hero faces off against the Beast before him. He manages to win, and then Harpooya shows up. But Dr. Wild's appearance stops them in their tracks. Harpooya is beyond baffled because he should be banished. But then they're hit by another surprise, the entrance of the revived Copy X, Copy X Mark II. The fake states that he brought Weil here, which confuses the Guardian even more. Then Weil asks that he revive them to end the chaos within the world. Copy X follows up by telling Harpuya that he needs him to procure the Dark Elf. They require it for what's coming next. Harpuya argues that that's stupid and pointless, since Ciel's energy system could fix all of this, but Copy X doesn't want to hear it. Instead, he issues a challenge to Zero. They'll race to see who can get to the Dark Elf first. With that, the Neo-Arcadians leave. But before Weil does, he wonders how far Zero will get with his current body. This confuses the hero, but he returns to the Resistance before he gets to ponder about it. Now before we get into how the Resistance handles all this, I want to touch base with Neo Arcadia for a second. The Weil Numbers audio drama within the remastered Trax Telos album reveals that the Guardians were treated like shit after this. After Copy X returns, he immediately unbanishes Weil and makes him a prominent government figure. With this newfound power, the Doctor commands everyone to focus on capturing the Dark Elf. When Harpuya returns to see how his friends are doing, he finds out that only 3 people were selected to work on their repairs. 3! Which isn't good because Omega messed Leviathan and Fefner up bad. One of the humans working on their repairs states that they're in critical condition. Harpuya leaves the work to them and then finds some of the 8 gentle judges, but they're acting very weird. They used to show nothing but respect to the guy, but now they treat him like trash and talk about Weil like he's their master. When the Guardian asks what the hell is going on, they reveal that the Doctor upgraded them. Now they're his battle-ready servants known as the Weil Numbers. This is the worst kind of revenge, fam. Weil was really like, you banished me? Copy. Now you're my slaves. I also like how Inti creates reference to Wily numbers from classic Mega Man in this bit. Anyway, back to the Resistance. Once Zero returns, he tells him that getting the Dark Elf before Neo Arcadia should be their top priority. He later speaks with Servo, who grants him the Shield Boomerang and new Recoil Rod.
I can show you a video of the person using it that I watched use it, and I can send you a video of how to program it yourself. If you are inclined, you know where to find me. Because it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Once you get it in your hands.
Then once the operators are ready, they give Zero his first 4 missions. This time the bosses are the Weil Numbers. The first is Blazin' Flizzard, the former Left Flame Judge. He was originally built to work in hot places, and his combat mode is based on the Frillneck Lizard. Now, all the judges are classified as Mutos Reploids, but I'm not sure if they've always had their combat modes or they got them when Weil did his redesigning. If you do, let me know in the comments. Next is Childry Inarabita, the former Left Ice Judge. His ice abilities were meant to stop overheating, but now he's the most brutal of the Weil Numbers. As for his inspiration, he's based on the white hair of Inaba, an old Japanese folktale. That's why it's Inarabita. Inaba, rabbit. Then there's Devilbat Shilt, the former Right Thunder Judge based on the bat. And fun fact, his design seems to be based on the scrapped second form of Phantom. The last of these 4 bosses is Death Tan's Mantisk, the former Moonlight and Vice Chief Judge. He's based on the Mantis and was originally built for execution. Apparently his battle prowess was so top tier that he was given an especially durable blade sharpened at the atomic level. Were they trying to get this guy to cut vibranium? Cause jeez! While Zero's taking these guys down, he runs into Kreia and Preya, but they don't like him. They berate him for pushing their mom around a century ago, and go as far as to call him a faker. Later they meet up with Weil, who tricks them into helping him by saying that he created the Dark Elf, so technically he's their grandfather. In Neo Arcadia, Harpuya tries talking some sense into Copy X, but his master is long gone. Instead of listening to the Guardian, he demotes all of them. He believes that Weil has learned from his mistakes, so in the worst move possible, he puts him in command of Neo Arcadia's army. And the timing couldn't be more perfect for the Mad Doctor, as he reports that he found the location of the Dark Elf, so they begin working on a missile that will get Omega to it before anyone. Back at the Resistance, they find out about this missile, but have no idea where it's being aimed. They send Zero over to the missile factory to try and stop it, and in the process, they find out that the weapon is being sent to a human district. This dude Weil is wildin'! Zero attempts to thwart his plans, but the baby elves hold him off long enough for the missile to hit its target. Once Zero gets to what's left of the place, he's too late. Omega fuses with the Dark Elf right in front of him. Then the asshole baby elves ask the monster to take out Zero. Harpuya comes in to try and help, asking Weil if this wasteland is what he calls justice, but Omega mops the floor with him easily. Zero knows they're in no condition to face off against this guy now, so he and Harpuya return to the Resistance. There, the Guardian is sent to Servo for repairs, but Neo Arcadia hits them up before they have any time to regroup. Since they have the Dark Elf, they offer a proposition. The Resistance has no hope of winning this war now. So Wile and his puppet ask for Ciel's energy system. They can combine it with the Dark Elf to obtain all the energies. But Ciel is like, you risk the lives of countless people just to get the Dark Elf. You think I'm gonna trust you with my work? Kick rocks. So Copy X is like, fine, bitch. I was holding back cause you're a human, but screw that. You have a monopoly on power and that dangerous warrior Zero backing you up. So we're just gonna end all of you. Bye. With that, Neo Arcadia pulls an Operation Righteous Strike and sends a task force straight to their front door. Leading the charge are 3 revived Mutos Reploids from previous titles, Anubis Necromancis V, Hanu Machine R, and Blizek Stagroth R. After taking them out, Zero is finally confronted by Copy X Mark II. The Fake asks Zero why he'd side with extremists. All the humans are on Neo Arcadia's side right now, so anyone against them must be a bad guy. But Zero hits him with the most real statement he's dropped so far.
What's the value in the justice that complacent humans seek?
This is one of the reasons why Zero's story is so dope to me. It instills the fact that this isn't just a battle between good and evil. Cause think about it, this whole timeline involved robots protecting humans. Copy X is still stuck in that belief. However, Zero presents an even more valid point. If the humans in Neo Arcadia are not even involved in all this, are they really the ones that the Reploids should be listening to? When you put yourself in the human's shoes, it's easy to side with Copy X because from the inside looking out, it just seems like Zero and the Resistance are attacking them during an energy crisis. However, once you get past the walls, it becomes obvious that the Reploids and the Resistance are fighting for their freaking lives. All this perfectly displays how so much can change if we all take a step back and see things from another perspective. As we see here.
Let's do a quick intro.
Hello there.
Hello there. Hello everybody, I'm your host Taku the X, and we're here drawing Pokemon. I do art, video games, and occasionally listen to things about lore about video games. Haha! Assemble! We're currently drawing Pokemon. I'm coloring in Pidgey, doing some coloring and everything like that, while listening to the catastrophic lore of Mega Man Zero. I hope you are doing well. Thank you for the 50th anniversary. Thank you. I appreciate it. What did you stream? Well, what were you doing? What were you drawing? Were you drawing or were you playing a video game? I know you draw, but maybe you played a video game today. Let me know. Doing great here. I'm glad to hear. But hello, I hope you guys stay for a while. I hope your community decides to, hey, this guy, he's pretty cool. I'm going to stay for a while. Hey, Peter. It's pretty cool. Let me stay for a spell. But thank you. I was drawing today. Okay, cool. What you got going on? What's the new project you working on? I was working on this earlier as a warm up. Bima with a battle axe. Just did a quick sketch. Quick as in like it took like 2 hours. But like still, I thought it was really fun, and I want to finish it out and do more stuff with it. But this was just here, and now we're back on we're on the Pokemans. Working on another piece for my website. I need to make a website. That's something on my to-do list as an artist, is have a website, which probably should. I was thinking about Wix or something like that. If you have any recommendations, love to hear them. Love to hear the recommendations. Because it's either that or Squarespace for me, to be honest. But, yes, sir. I love to hear it.
Being stuck in your own bubble can be extremely detrimental to your growth and society. Life lesson aside, Zero and Copy X then duke it out, with our boy coming out on top once again. Afterwards, Cyber Elf X appears to tell his clone the truth. Wile used him. In fact, he's not even here to help. He left with Omega already. Copy X grows furious, complaining about how he's always treated like a fool, but in the midst of transforming, he explodes. Bro, I know making him was a mistake, but my heart still really goes out to this guy. Once again, Copy X thought he was doing the right thing. He just wanted to be a hero. But no matter what, he always gets shafted. X even suggests that Wily might have rigged him to explode. But fam? Shit's about to get worse. Wile sends out a broadcast in Neo Arcadia announcing that Zero and the Resistance killed their leader, Copy X. Remember, the humans had no idea Copy X even died in 01. Then he declares that according to Ordinance Number 8, this makes him the ruler of Neo Arcadia. His first command? Eviscerate the Resistance. In response, X questions if the Mad Doctor is trying to repeat the events that led to the Elf Wars. So they dip because if he is, they need to stop him yesterday. Back at the Resistance base, Zero's given his last 4 missions, and stopping him from completing them are the final 4 gentle judges. First is Cubit Foxstar, the former Right Flame Judge. She's based on the Kitsune, the trickster fox from Japanese mythology. She uses 9 remote-controlled machines called the Nine-Tail Fires to mess with her opponents in battle. She also wins the award for Best Boss Design in this game. It was close, but her resemblance to Renamon gave her the W, not gonna lie. Next is Glacier Le Cactank, the former Right Ice Judge. He's based on the Barrel Cactus and was originally built to bring vaccines and drinkable water to isolated areas. Third is Voltiel Biblio, the former Left Thunder Judge. He's based on the eel, but his second name, Biblio, is a prefix that pertains to books. This references the fact that he guards the same sunken library that El Paizo investigated. And last is Tratista Calvarian, the former Dark and Chief Judge. He's based on Cerberus, the 3-headed dog that guards the gates of Hades in Greek mythology. What makes this reference go even harder though, is that this guy actually has 3 individual thought processes that debate every decision to allow for the keenest level of judgment. Homie's like Alien X from Ben 10, but a million times weaker. Sadly, when Weil altered the judges, this messed with his thought processes, so now he don't think too good. After beating this set of bosses, Zero returns with data on the Elf Wars and the Dark Elf. Harpuy is doing better now, so he goes to speak with him. But the guy exclaims that being here sucks. Being cast out from Neo Arcadia was one thing, but getting helped by the Resistance? Ew! So he leaves to try and stop Weil. After reviewing the data Zero got, the Resistance then discovers the truth about the Elf Wars, but Weil is always watching. He throws a big-ass L at them right after by speaking to the Resistance operators. He tells them that Omega is perfect now. He's able to control all Reploids without the need for baby elves. With that, he begins to control the minds of Reploids around the world. Son, I'm sorry. Can we just pay our respects to this man, please? This dude's not only conducting a plan more evil than anything Wily or Sigma came up with, but he's winning, bro. He's outplaying everyone right now. He tells the Reploids and humans that this is what they get for banishing him. Now he has the whole world in the palm of his hand. His last command to his Reploid army is to inscribe his name on the world. You see what I mean? They should have killed this guy when they had the chance. They heard Weil, thought it was Wily, and underestimated him.
Okay.
Now look, world out.
Thank you. Because I didn't know how long I've been doing this shit for. So it's been 3 years. So it has been 3. I was right. So it's been 3 years. I think it's 3 years of me being affiliate, right? Not streaming on Twitch, but 3 years of me being affiliate. So yes, I'm celebrating by just doing the same thing I usually do. I mean, because it's like, bro, what? Like, what? I've been on Twitch for a while, you know? So yeah, I guess it's been 3 years. Who knew? Who knew?
Domination. Luckily, CyberElf X is able to disable the brainwashing within the vicinity. And thank God it doesn't work on him or Zero. Once they collect themselves, they head out to destroy Omega and stop Weil once and for all. However, according to the Light and Shadow audio drama, X has a little backup plan set up. At the beginning of the title, a Resistance member named Hirondell mentions how the appearance of Omega opened up a rift into cyberspace. This is sort of the afterlife for Reploids. X found Phantom here and asked him to help Zero now that he's fighting for the safety of humans and Reploids. But Phantom states that he will only be the blade for X, no one else. What he can do is test Zero to make sure that he's capable of taking on this challenge. I want to be mad, but this makes perfect sense for his character. Phantom is loyal to Daddy X and Daddy X only. Except for that one time with Copy X, but we don't talk about that anymore. Afterward, he and CyberElf X find Leviathan and Fafnir drifting in cyberspace. X asks him the same thing he asked Phantom, but they tell him no because Zero is their prey. They want to fight him, not help him. However, they hit us with the whole, but only we're allowed to beat him, so we're gonna help anyway. Shtick. Back to Zero. On his way to Omega, he enters cyberspace and fights against Phantom. The Guardian reveals that he knows everything about the Dark Elf and the Elf Wars,
at the same time, I don't,
but he still thinks Zero is unworthy. However, after Zero beats him, he changes his mind and encourages our boy to cross blades with Weil's monster. Once he confronts the Doctor, the guy continues ranting, calling the humans squealing pigs who rely on the Reploids to exist. I mean, at least for the folks in Neo Arcadia? Is he wrong? After that, he sicks the baby elves on him. but Zero makes quick work out of them. Then he's called back to base. Ciel tells him that Weil was conducting his experiments in an ancient laboratory close to the place where he was sealed long ago, the same place where they found him in Zero One, so he heads there for the smoke. He runs into the Doctor again, who brags about how good it feels to rule the world. Then he proceeds to tell Zero that he'll never understand this feeling, cause he's not a human. Zero didn't know Weil was human, so this is news to him. Regardless, my man concludes that even if he is a human, he's Maverick. Therefore, he must be taken down. This is kinda crazy when you remember the time that classic Mega Man tried killing Wily. Little homie couldn't make the decision, but Zero's like, screw it, you're the problem. In a way, it shows that the minds of mechanical beings have improved, I guess, since 20xcx. Before Zero can do anything though, Weil sends Omega to retire him, but our boy still wins, even against his second form. But this win reveals something shocking. This whole time, Omega was wearing armor. Now that it's destroyed, we see his true form. It's Zero. Then Weil, as cocky as ever, announces that this is the true Zero. All the way back when he made Omega before the Elf Wars, he used Zero's original body. Zero doesn't have time to comprehend this though because Omega is sent at him for another round. Luckily he defeats him once again, but the Dark Elf leaves his body and starts healing him. Our boy is left speechless, but then the Guardians appear to back him up. Along with that, the corruption of the Dark Elf starts fading. Now this is mad cool to watch happen in game. Like we're finally seeing Zero and the Guardians work together. However, a Newgrounds creator by the name of Flame Zero made this whole moment even cooler with the sprite animation Mega Man Zero The Last Cataclysm. I originally watched this back when I was in like middle school, but I remember it being so dope that it got me into sprite animation for all of like a month. Yeah, I tried it and it was mad hard. I had no idea it was going to be that tedious. Regardless, I just want to bring it up because I feel like anyone interested in Mega Man Zero lore would really, really love that video. I left the link in the description. Anyway, Cyber Elf X then comes in to reassure Zero with the truth. His body may not be that of the original Zero, but his heart definitely is, and that's what matters. With newfound resolve, Zero delivers the finishing blow to Omega, which causes him to explode. Afterward, while he's lying unconscious, X contacts him to tell him that his energy is fading. He's leaving everything up to him now. He needs to defeat Weil and save the world. Later, he wakes up in the Resistance base to see the now uncorrupted Mother Elf. She leaves soon after and Zero wonders if they should follow her. But Ciel insists that they should let her rest. People have been using her left and right after all. The title then ends with Ciel encouraging Zero, just like X did in the battle with Omega. He stares off into the distance and declares that he is Zero. Now it's time to bring this saga to a close. Let's get into the next chapter and talk about the final game in this timeline, Mega Man 04.
I thought that was all Mega Man 04. This man has been going.
So, as always, I have some fun little development facts before we continue. While the team was working on 03, they were under the impression that that was the end. That's why that game was so wild lore-wise. In the official complete works, they even mention how the intensity of 03 left them in an awkward spot when drafting 04. They originally planned for it to take place between 01 and 2, within that year where he was fighting Pantheons non-stop. That's why he was given the Zero Knuckle as one of his weapons. Since his shield boomerang and triple rod were broken, he'd use it to steal weapons from his opponents. They later decided to just make the game a sequel. The fans felt that there was still more story to tell, so they agreed to make this title the definitive end of the Zero saga. With that, let's get to the lore. Mega Man 04 begins with the monologue from a new character named Neej. And she's human! Crazy, right? She gives us a short summary of everything that's happened so far.
Didn't know that.
Since Omega's defeat, Weil has maintained control of Neo Arcadia. You're probably wondering why the Guardians didn't try to stop him. Well, that's cause they're dead. Yup, Omega's explosion killed them. The Mother Elf only saves Zero. Crazy. As you probably guessed, Weil's rule is way worse than Copy X's. So humans started leaving Neo Arcadia in the troves. Neej and her caravan are some of those humans, and they're currently being chased down by Weil's army. He replaced the Pantheons with the slightly tougher variants. This could be a stretch, but I'm guessing them going from blue to purple is a base reference. However, Weil's name in Japan is Vile, so it could also be a Va reference, but in turn, does that also make it a base reference? And she's human! Crazy, right? Will be a Va reference, but in turn, does... However, Weil's name in stretch, but I'm guessing them going from blue to purple is a base reference. However, Weil's name in Japan is Vile, so it could also be a Va reference, but in turn, does that also make it a base reference still? Because isn't Vile in and of itself a base reference? I don't know. It could be a Va reference, it could be a base reference. Y'all get it. Luckily for the caravan, Zero and the squad pull up to rescue them. But when they meet, you can tell the rest of the humans don't feel comfortable around them. Neej, at least, introduces herself. She used to be a journalist who traveled around the world. She's heard about the resistance in Zero, and word around the street is they're dangerous. After their conversation, Neej tries to rush off, but Ciel asks where they're heading. Zero asks that they should just head back to Neo Arcadia. Isn't that their utopia? But Neej snaps back, telling them that thanks to a certain band of Reploids led by a certain red hero, their old leader is dead, and their new leader is out here doing the most. You know, I can see where she's coming from. Then she tells them that they're going to Area Zero, the same one from X5. After the Eurasian crash, the area was sealed off. However, a functional environmental system remained from the event, leading to the land's renewal over the years. Now it's a natural paradise. Ciel offers to join them, but Neej says that only she can come since she's human. Many from her caravan were caught up in the wars caused by Reploids, so they're not cool with them. With that, she leaves while Zero and Ciel return to the rest of the resistance. Back at base, she expresses how bad she feels for the humans. She didn't even know there were some who felt the same way Neej and her caravan did. So she decides to completely ignore what the journalist said and looks for the coordinates of Area Zero in an effort to help them. But as they find it, they discover that Wild's forces are already on the way. So it's actually a good thing Ciel decided to butt in. But next time, maybe don't? Zero rushes over there, and the pure beauty of the greenery takes both him and Ciel back for a sec. After he clears the area, he runs into another Reploid named Popla Kakapitri. And tell me how Zero just calls him a random grunt. You can take Zero's body, but you can never take away his savagery. Of course the guy feels insulted by this, but before he's able to fight our boy, his squad pulls up to stop him. The Einherjar 8 Warriors.
There's a lot
now
of them,
before we
too.
get into the members of this group, we gotta talk about their name, because it is another huge reference to Norse mythology. If you didn't already know, Valhalla houses spirits of the dead warriors who Odin, the Allfather, deemed worthy. This band of spirits was known as the Einherjar. They fought all day, but their wounds were healed by the evening. The Valkyries, Odin's helpers, would tend to them. Now this all sounds nice, right? Like, from hearing this, I could see why someone would want to die an epic death just to get into Valhalla. But remember what we learned from my God of War video, folks. You can't be trusting these gods! The Valkyries' job didn't begin in Valhalla. They were also responsible for choosing who got admitted, and they'd go as far as setting shit up just so a worthy warrior would die and join Odin's little club. This is all because when Odin faces Fenrir during Ragnarok, the Einherjar is who he brings to battle with them. But Ragnarok is the end of everything, so they all die anyway. So Odin was up there secretly enlisting people to his army by setting them up. Crazy. I know that was a wild tangent, but it will all make sense later, trust me. Back to this game's Einherjar, who are all Mutos Reploids. First there is Heat Gemblum, who's based on the black tortoise known as the Genbu. Tech Kraken is based on the Kraken, the sea beast from Norse mythology, and used to be part of the Cutting Shadow Squadron. Yo, there were so many people in Phantom Squad, like, it must have really screwed them over when he died. After his former master's death, he disappeared. He's only back now to get revenge on Zero. Pegasolta Eclair is based on the Pegasus, and the last bit of his name, Eclair, is French for flash of lightning, referencing his element. He was originally designed to do maintenance on an airborne weather station, but WoW redesigned him for combat, which works for him because he's been wanting to smoke for a minute. His design also seems to be inspired by Spiral Pegasus from X5. Noble Mandrago, based on the Mandrake, was originally designed for the preservation and regeneration of the environment. When she was altered by the Mad Doctor, the idea was implanted that the preservation of nature requires complete control over it, and that requires destroying it from time to time. Her original function as well as her looks reminds me of Spike Rosered from X5. Soul Titanian used to function as an artificial sun along with another Reploid of the same model. However, that Reploid was destroyed by WoW's goons, and in the process, her operation circuits got screwed. Now she destroys for funsies. She's also based on the Fairy Queen Titania from Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. Similar to Titanian, she and her partner, the Fairy King Oberon, were responsible for keeping the world healthy. However, after an enchantment is cast on her by Oberon's servant Puck, she begins acting out of the ordinary. Fenrir Luna Edge, this game's boss design winner, once went berserk after trying out an altered cyber elf. He was put in cryogenic stasis to calm his ass down, only to be awoken by a while later. He's also another one inspired by Norse mythology, as his name comes from Fenrir, the wolf giant and child of Loki who was destined to face Odin in Ragnarok. Mino Magnus, or Minnow Magnus, based on the Minotaur from Greek mythology, used to be a part of a mass transportation unit. He joined WoW because he was promised unlimited energy. And last is the one Zero called a random grunt, Popla Kakapitri. He was heavily involved with the development of hacker-type cyber elves, but lost his job once they became more popular. So he serves Weil out of anger. He's also inspired by a mythological creature I never heard of, the cockatrice. This is a dragon-like creature with a rooster's head. Honestly, screw the whole hacker cyber elf thing. I would have been more mad that I was a dragon with a rooster's head. The hell? After these guys showed themselves, their leader, Kraft, appears to drop the plot for this game. They are a task force started by the Mad Doctor to help him create a giant weapon dubbed Ragnarok. He plans to use it to destroy all nature around the world, so folks have no choice but to stay in Neo Arcadia. This man is so salty about his banishment that he wants to imprison everyone. I'll say it again, y'all should have ended this man when you had the chance. Kraft ends the exposition by telling Zero that heroes are a thing of the past. Weil owns the world now, and you'll soon realize that there is no fighting against him. Afterwards, Zero regroups with the Resistance. They confirm that their top priority is warning the caravan about Weil's plan. Alouette also gives Zero a new cyber elf she names Qua, which is French for believe. The Mega Man knowledge base states that this is in line with the title's overarching theme of belief. We'll talk about this more later, but in my opinion, that theme is pretty apparent throughout the whole series. From Zero 1, we've watched Zero struggle with his identity. Was he the hero everyone thought he was, or was he just a red Reploid who happened to look like him? Zero 3 was the true test of that belief, which is why it was so fitting that the game ended with him confidently saying that he is Zero. But now, if the humans want to be saved, they're gonna have to believe in Zero 2. And sadly, that doesn't even seem like a possibility right now. When he and Ciel head to Nij's caravan to try and warn them, they say they want nothing to do with another Reploid war. They'll protect themselves. I mean, good luck with that. So Zero and the squad decide to help in the shadows by going after the Einherjar 8 warriors. After taking out 4 of them, the Resistance gets word that Weil's forces are heading to the human settlement again. However, once Zero gets there, the place is already in ruin. After saving a bunch of the survivors, he finds Kraft, who seems to be looking for someone. Our boy asks him how he, a warrior of Neo Arcadia, could be okay with all this, but Kraft hits him with the whole, "Bro, you don't understand. Weil won. This is all we can do." Their conversation leads to a duel, which Zero wins, but he noticed that the commander went easy on him. That's odd, so he asks him why they attacked the settlement in the first place. Kraft avoids the question though. Then Nij pulls up and reveals that she and Kraft had history. She's like, "Sir, back when I was traveling the world, you were cool peoples. You talked about how you want to protect humanity. The hell is all this?" But Kraft tells her that he's still trying to do that. Then he grabs her and dips. So obviously, Zero plans to save her. Even after hearing her come at him in the beginning of the game, he still wants to do what's right. But the humans? They switch up real quick. They believe that she's a traitor, because she was being buddy-buddy with the Reploid. So outside of Bryce and Typhon, nobody is down to do a thing to save her. This ticks Zero off. He calls them just as cowardly as the humans in Neo Arcadia. If this is how they move, what was the point in even leaving? This is why I think getting the humans more involved in this title was such a smart choice on Inti Create's part. Up until now, these guys were just the damsels who always needed saving. Outside of when they were inventing shit, this is the first time their perspective is really being shown. I mean, in this case, they're wrong, but still, getting their take on everything adds a whole new layer to the story. Zero heads back to the Resistance base, and it's hilarious seeing how pretty much everyone is worried about Nij. Her own people abandoned her, yet these Reploids that they hate so much are trying to help. Ciel manages to find her location, but she wonders if this is even the right call. If humans want nothing to do with them, will they ever be able to build a world where both can live together in peace? But the caravan hits them up and admits they were wildin'. They ask the Resistance to save their friend. Zero's like, "Y'all still some bitches. But yeah, don't worry, I'll save your girl." He breaks into Weil's prison, fights through his guards, then gets to the journalist. He states that her settlement sent him. She thanks him, but before they leave, she wants to speak with Kraft. When she was traveling the world, he saved her from Mavericks, and she eventually fell for him. Kraft comes in and admits that he fell in love with her too. That's why he's doing what he's doing. If he doesn't get her to Neo Arcadia, then she'll die with the rest of her group. In response, Nij rightfully calls that cowardly thinking. But then Weil comes in, saying that a human like Nij has no right to talk. He rants about his banishment again, then asks if the journalist will join Kraft or die trying to oppose him. To which she tells him that she'd rather laugh in the face of death than live under his rule. With that, she sets off a flashbang and escapes with Zero. Once back, the caravan apologizes for their harsh attitude, while the Resistance wonders if this means they can all finally live together in peace. Later, Nij admits to Zero that she was wrong for believing the propaganda spread by Neo Arcadia. She sees now that he truly is a hero. Afterwards, Zero takes out the rest of the Einherjar, and for a moment, it looks like the conflict is finally over, but they catch a strong energy reading coming from space. Then Weil contacts them, saying that he outplayed them again. The Einherjar was a decoy meant to distract them long enough for him to finish Ragnarok. He has it aimed at them as they speak. So remember that Norse lore we went over about Valhalla and Ragnarok? Well, if you think about it, Weil is pretty much doing the same thing Odin did. He led his warriors to their deaths to fulfill Ragnarok. Zero asks the operators to send him to the weapon, but they can't. So Weil continues talking shit. Even says that he wants to watch them scream as they die. Then Kraft interrupts everything, telling them that he's up in the weapon right now, and he changed his target. He's aiming it at Neo Arcadia. Now Kraft, I see what you're doing here, and kudos on joining the right side, but you could have just turned it off, or aim it somewhere else. Neo Arcadia still has innocent people living there. Both Ciel and Weil bring that up, but Kraft's love for Neej has taken over. He's set on his decision. This is what I was talking about before with the true meaning of going Maverick, because technically, Kraft is going OD Maverick right now. He's going to destroy countless humans and Reploids just to get to Weil. And the main thing pushing him is his drive to protect Neej. Okay, so after taking another look at the Mega Man 04 script, I kinda rescind this statement. Like, I still feel like Kraft is heavily being influenced by his love for Neej, but from what he's saying here, it more so seems like she inspired him to want to take a drastic measure to change the world, because he talks a lot about how he wants to change the world by doing this, and it's more than just taking out Wily with Ragnarok. I feel like he also believes that this hardship that the humans will face from this laser is gonna lead to change for them, which makes a lot of sense with what happens later. So yeah, still feel like Kraft was inspired by his love for Neej, but I feel like it was very much a need to want to change the world that really took over here, you know? But yeah, he still went Maverick for believing in something, so that part's still right. All right, back to the video. In a panic, Ciel sends the Resistance to evacuate Neo Arcadia. Then using Kraft's coordinates, they send Zero to the weapon. He fights through it until he reaches the commander, who has already fired once and is planning to do it again. They fight, and of course, Zero wins. He tells the Reploid that they are robots built for war. They need to leave the fate of the world to the humans. As machines, it's their job to lend their strength to the ones they trust. But Kraft responds with possibly the realest question a Reploid has asked in this timeline. Who should they trust? The humans who sit back and watch the world crumble? The folks like Weil who want to dominate the world? How do they decide who to assist? Zero tells him that there was once a kind Reploid, X, who he made a promise to. He chooses to trust the people he trusted. This makes Kraft lament about the fact that he couldn't find it in him to fully trust Neej. Afterwards, Ciel gets in contact with Zero. Kraft decides to stay because he can't face the woman he loves. Then Zero teleports back. He low-key breaks down to Neej, saying that she was right. As long as he keeps fighting, he's just like Weil. Now the blood of Kraft is on his hands. But Neej tells him it's cool. He did the right thing by taking him out. Meanwhile, the Resistance reports that they safely evacuated a good amount of the Neo Arcadia population. However, according to the Val's incident epilogue, that first attack took out over 20 million people. And guess what? Weil is nowhere to be found. Kraft did all that just to miss. But the craziness doesn't stop here. The Resistance finds out that Ragnarok is still active and accelerating towards Area Zero. Zero has no choice but to go back and try to stop it. So he speaks to the Resistance and Caravan one last time before heading out. And it's cute that many of the humans talk about how they look up to Zero now, and how they'll miss him if he doesn't return. Once that's over, he heads over to Ragnarok for his final mission. During this gauntlet, he fights the revived Einherjar, which adds even more weight to the Norse mythology reference. He makes it to Weil, and the doctor starts going off about everything he's went through. The line that really hit me was when he said he was forced to spend an eternity in a world without light or nature. That's dark as hell. Another reason why they should have just killed his ass. Right now, this is his justice. He's willing to make the whole world feel the pain he felt. After all that, they fight, and Zero manages to take the first W. But in doing so, Ragnarok begins to descend even faster, and Weil still isn't down. However, Zero comes up with a plan. If he takes out Weil's core, the explosion should be enough to destroy the Doctor's regenerating body and the giant weapon. Ciel worries that he won't be able to teleport back to base if he does that, and Weil gloats, asking if he even has it in him to kill a human. Then Zero, with more belief in himself than ever, gives us his greatest speech in the series.
正義の味方
方でもなければ自分を英雄と名乗った覚えもない。俺はただ自分が信じる者のために戦ってきた。俺は悩まない。目の前に敵が現れたなら叩き切るまでだ。シエル、俺を信じろ。
I love this series so much, fam. This is Zero confidently answering the question he freaked out about in X4.
What am I fighting for?
And it's wrapped up neatly with the theme of belief by Zero telling Ciel to believe in him right before fighting Weil. So Zero and Weil fight for one last time, and the Doctor fails again. Zero's plan works, and most of Ragnarok burns off as it enters the atmosphere. But sadly, the only thing left of him is his damaged helmet. And unfortunately, yes, this is the end for Zero. Inti Creates purposely killed him off to officially close the book on this series. They didn't see a reason to make a 0-5. However, Ciel believes that he will return someday. Until then, they'll work diligently with the rest of the survivors to build a world that he, Light, and X fought for. A world where Reploids and humans can live in peace. With that, the game comes to a close, but there's still a bit more lore in the aforementioned Vile's incident. The full name is Vile's Incident Eden Dome. It's Sin and Rebirth. It's included in the remastered tracks Physis album, and goes over the events of 03 and 4. In lore, it's a piece written by a journalist named Montagna, 2 years after Operation Ragnarok's failure. He mentions that he's creating this so people of the future don't forget. In it, he gives more details about the horrors of the day that Neo Arcadia fell, like the fact that many were caught completely off guard by the attack. I didn't even think about the fact that the humans in Neo Arcadia didn't know about Ragnarok. So most of them were just having a regular day, and then boom, over 20 million dead. However, he goes on to add that this moment opened the humans' eyes, especially when Ragnarok was destroyed. They realized this is the result of their own complacency. Now, the rebuilding effort is going smoothly. They're using the remains of Neo Arcadia to support themselves for the time being. And I guess everyone was really excited they survived because there was a baby boom. The Pantheons even dropped their weapons to help take care of all the newborns. All in all, Montagna expresses that though the humans lost their posh lives with the fall of Neo Arcadia, it was for the better. They've learned from their mistakes, and truly believe they can build a world where everyone can coexist. Cause who said their utopia had to be contained within one dome? But we'll just have to wait and see if they actually make that happen. For now, this is the end of the Mega Man Zero timeline and Maverick saga. Folks, we have made it through another long-ass Mega Man lore video. At this moment, I have no idea how long this video is gonna be, but I will say, after this recording session and the other recording session, it might be longer than the Mega Man X video. If it is, I have a problem. I have a problem. I need to stop yapping so much, but that's besides the point. If you enjoyed the yapping, don't forget to like. If you want to see more videos like this, by the way, Mega Man ZX is going to be covered next. I know a lot of people were like, bro, you got to do ZX and Zero in one video. You see why I want to do ZX in a separate video now? I can't trust myself to write reasonably long scripts anymore. After the freaking God of War video, now if I don't make an hour-long video, it just feels off. It's weird. Anyway, share if you enjoyed the video. Shout out to all the members on the Donchiverse.com. Appreciate you guys so much. If you don't already know, you could join my website membership to gain exclusive perks like watching videos like this early, seeing my uncensored manhwa reads, getting my stream archive and all that good stuff, as well as discounts on merch. And I have new merch dropping very soon. It's probably gonna be out by the time this video comes out. So yeah, here it is, the Kaizen set. We got a shirt, we got a hoodie, and we got a crew neck. Check it out. Link to the website down below, and I will be most likely having a sale because this is gonna drop around the time that Black Friday is happening. So yeah, 25% off, tentatively. Yeah, now I'm gonna have to make it a thing. Yeah, 25% off. Check out the store. Buy stuff. Appreciate you. Don't forget that we're partnered with GG Subs as well. You could use my code DONCHI, to get 10% off your first order. I put the link for that in the description below as well. But yeah, pretty simple outro this time. Once again, Mega Man ZX is next. After that, Mega Man Legends. Then I am taking a much needed break from Mega Man lore, and I will come back later to cover Mega Man Battle Network and Star Force.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry
go.
though, there will
Those
still
gonna take
be
a minute.
Honest Gaming Histories coming out at least once a month. They're just going to be covered on different video games and stuff while I take this break. I'll let you know that one of them will be a remake of my Sonic video. So if you're waiting for me to splurge and talk a lot about Sonic and Sonic shit, subscribe, because that is definitely happening in 2025. But with all that being said, folks, thank you again for watching. Be easy, stay lit, stay healthy out there. You look good.
Thank you.
And don't forget to smile today.
I pooped.
Peace
today.
out, fam.
This is the 24th. This is the 30th.
The Mega Man timeline is the epitome of a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Okay.
Behind its friendly
All right,
exterior
we're done
is a
with the Mega
dark
Man
and
timeline.
violent world where ambition is a catalyst for catastrophe.
For the most part.
See,
we talk about ZX later, talk about Legends and all that later, because clearly he's not talking about it, but we have fun. We had a good time. Woo! Ooh, boy. All right. I'm pretty set. I finished this. I finished one Pokemon, and that's kind of what I want to do, is like finish a Pokemon per stream if I can. I finished one and started inking another. Probably gonna look this over before I finish out. There's like one little, there's one little upset that I see here. Upset that I see here. And then like, okay. So I'm pretty set. So I'm going to bed. Go ahead, get you some sleep. I'm more into the Mega Man thing now for sure. Hey, game clear. I'm glad that you enjoyed the lore. From the few, like, I think, what did we listen to? Like 3 games, or just 2 games? We listened to a few games, but I'm glad you enjoyed the lore, and we got some good backstory. So hopefully he does. I can't wait for when he does Battle Network, because I need a revamp of what I know about Battle Network, right? I know a lot because I played all 6 of the games, but like I feel like this one, there was stuff I missed, right? So hopefully there'll be some more lore. So hopefully he'll come at it with us. Met some cool peeps, did some art, learned about Mega Man. Good stream. Appreciate it. So, thank you, everybody. Hope you have a beautiful night. I will. Goodbye.